I am an awakened who manifests words into reality. As long as I say, God says I can fly. I can take flight even without wings. If I say, God says I can be invisible, I can vanish in an instant. But when I transmigrated to this apocalypse, into the body of Su Yanqi, who had been trapped for 3 months and had already starved to death, I immediately spoke, God says, I need a bowl of white rice. However, there was no reaction at all the next second. I then realized this body had no spiritual energy. Just as I was thinking about how to escape this predicament, there was a sudden banging on the door. The cabinets and table blocked the door completely. I couldn't even check through the peephole. But the person kept knocking on the door, confirming it was a human outside, not a zombie. Leaning against the cabinet, I shouted, Someone is in here. I shouted with all my might, but my voice wasn't very loud. Fortunately, the people outside still heard me. Then I heard an excited voice. With the help of Pei Yan and the others, I was finally rescued. Sitting in the back seat of the SUV, I looked at Pei Yan in the passenger seat. He was holding a light blue crystal he just finished cleaning. I raised an eyebrow and asked, What is that in your hand? Pei Yan paused for a moment, then briefly replied, A crystal core. Seeing that I hadn't been out for 3 months, Pei Yan explained that these were found in zombies' brains. Once the crystal core is removed, the zombie dies completely. Ji Feng, who had been silent, couldn't help but interject. These are also useful for us awakened. Useful. Hey, by the way, are you an awakened? From the original host's memory, I understood the term. So I nodded. Yes. I am. What kind of ability do you have? Ji Feng looked a bit surprised. I thought for a moment and said, probably. A bit of everything. Ji Feng glanced at me through the rearview mirror. His expression showing he was unimpressed. Guess if I believe you? I ignored him, only looking at Pei Yan. Can I have that crystal core? I'll pay you back later. Pei Yan handed the core to me while cautioning. We awakened can absorb energy from crystal cores, but they are mixed with viruses. Absorption requires removing the virus first. Otherwise, before he could finish, he saw the crystal core in my hand had already turned into a gray stone. Pei Yan was shocked. Are you okay? I'm fine. After absorbing the mana, I immediately regained some strength. I extended my palm. As Pei Yan looked on, in confusion, I whispered, God says. I have a cream bun. Pei Yan frowned, thinking my mind had snapped. He was about to tell Ji Feng to stop the car when the next second a cream bun actually appeared in my palm. The SUV braked suddenly. My body lurched forward. Luckily, my hand blocked my forehead. The bun was squashed by my grip and the cream squeezed right out. I looked at Ji Feng with dissatisfaction. He chuckled and said, Hey, sister. Where did that bun come from? Are you a space awakened? I ignored him and continued eating the bun. Pei Yan was contemplating what just happened. Did you just absorb the crystal core's energy and convert it? Yeah. Besides mana, that crystal did have a lot of impurities. But I don't know about conversion. I just only absorbed the mana, that's all. You converted it so fast. How did you convert it? Why so fast? Is conversion even necessary? Isn't it just about absorbing what you need? I looked up at Pei Yan. Suddenly, the car stopped. Zombies nearby began to approach. Pei Yan didn't press further. Let's keep moving first. We'll talk when we're safe. The SUV started up again. I recovered some strength from the crystal core and learned about the apocalypse from Pei Yan. It's been 3 months since it began. Social order has completely collapsed. They were heading to Jishir City, where a survivor base had been established. After hearing this, I asked, where is Brother Pei? I went back to the house earlier and didn't see Dad or Auntie. As for Brother Pei, I haven't been to his school yet. The two of them fell silent with envy. Ji Feng quickly spoke up, Pei go. Linda Mall is up ahead. Should we go in? Let's check it out for some food. The two SUVs stopped. I was told to stay in the car until they cleared the nearby zombies. I naturally stayed put. I didn't have much strength, and going down would only make me a burden. There weren't too many zombies on the street. Once they were cleared, I saw them taking crystal cores from the zombies' heads. My eyes immediately lit up. I hurriedly got out of the car. Before I could reach them, I saw a man who, even in this apocalypse, was wearing a clean white shirt, nodding toward Pei Yan. It should be safe around here. As for inside the mall, it's a bit far. We'll have to go in to sense it. Pei Yan used a clean towel to wipe the crystal cores. Seeing me approach, he waved me over. Then he introduced the team members. Shin Jibai, you've met him before, remember? Jibai, this is my sister, Su Yanqi. Shin Jibai looked at me, nodded slightly, and didn't say another word. He was naturally a person of few words. Pei Yan didn't say much either, and called the other two over to introduce them. One was named Su Nianan, also a childhood friend of Pei Yan. The other was Su Qinsa, Su Nianan's fiancé. Pei Yan's ability was the most powerful. He was a fire awakened. He was lively and quite talkative. Ji Feng was a wind awakened. The reticent Shin Jibai was a mental awakened. Su Nianan, who looked gentle as water, was a space awakened. And Suchinsa, with her proud look, ignoring others, was a water awakened. Aside from Pei Yan and Shinji Bai, who were level 2, the rest were still level 1. After digging out the crystal cores, the group headed into the mall. Although they were 50 or 60 meters away, through the broken glass windows, zombies could still be seen walking stiffly. It's worth noting that as humans level up, zombies also evolve. Entering the mall, they found many zombies gathered inside. Dozens of them were visible at a glance. However, they weren't worried about the zombies on these floors. These zombies moved slowly. They could all be cleared out eventually. Their true goal was the large supermarket in the basement. Unless a base had organized a scavenge there, it was unlikely to be emptied yet. Everyone looked at Shinji Bai simultaneously. The latter closed his eyes slightly, spreading his mental energy across the first floor. Before long, Shinji Bai's handsome face gradually turned pale, and fine sweat broke out on his forehead. He then opened his eyes, his expression grim. All I can say is, there are a lot of zombies. Far too many to count accurately. With our current strength, he shook his head, leaving the rest unsaid. Pei Yan wasn't surprised by this answer. They were prepared for this before coming. Jifeng pointed to the 4th floor. I remember there's a food court on the 4th floor. Should we go up and take a look? No need. Most ingredients in a food court are perishables that won't last long. Su Nianan rejected the proposal. There are still quite many zombies inside. We should keep it down. Just find some clothes on the 1st floor. We still need to go somewhere safer to kill zombies. Save up more crystal cores to level up. Otherwise, next time we find a place with supplies, we'll have to give up again. No one opposed Pei Yan's words. So, everyone became very quiet, staying as far away from the zombies as possible. They walked without making a sound. When they saw suitable clothes, they let the space awakened, Su Nianan, store them. Half an hour later, having finished collecting clothes, they quietly withdrew. I didn't go in the entire time. Jifeng was also waiting outside, responsible for keeping watch. Back in the car, I looked at Pei Yan, who had switched to the driver's seat. Are we just leaving like this? We have no choice. We aren't strong enough. If you gave me more crystal cores, maybe I could handle it. Jifeng in the passenger seat turned back with a smile. Little sister, your math is a bit too ambitious. If you want crystal cores, just say it. No need to use that as an excuse. You guys can invest in me. My ability is very powerful. Is it space ability? Jifeng didn't seem to care. He also has space ability. I stopped talking. Pei Yan glanced at me in the rearview mirror while driving. If you want crystal cores, you have to contribute to the team. In order to survive the apocalypse, those without value won't last. Do you understand investment? I crossed my arms. Pei Yan held the steering wheel with one hand while the other pulled some crystal cores from his pocket and tossed them back. I caught them precisely. People without value can't survive. But you have connections. I smiled. This nominal brother, Pei Yan, really wasn't bad. He came looking for me first, despite the circumstances. Unfortunately, he was still a step too late. The original host was already gone. I gripped the cores and instantly absorbed them all. Jifeng, watching from the side, let out a curse. Seeing it again, it still felt absurd. He looked at me with a complex expression. Little sister. I glanced at him, saying nothing. After absorbing several crystal cores, my spirit recovered quite a bit. Following Shinji Bai's directions, everyone arrived at a villa area as dusk fell. The villa chosen as a base seemed to have been vacant for a long time. Many items inside were in disarray, and a thick layer of dust had accumulated on the floor. The group inspected the villa. After confirming it was safe, Pei Yan told everyone to find their own rooms. You'll need to clean your rooms yourselves. Miss Su, please prepare some water. I was too lazy to go to the 2nd floor, so I found a room with a bathroom on the 1st floor. Then I manifested, God says this is a clean and tidy room. In the next second, the room was brand new, as if it had just been thoroughly cleaned. Pei Yan, carrying bedsheets, saw my room and was stunned for a moment. Your room is so clean? I didn't say. I told you I can do a bit of everything. I also have a room cleaning ability. I guess I'm still just narrow-minded. Well then, sister, I'll leave my room to you. For the sake of the crystal cores you gave me today. Sure. The room Pei Yan chose was a small room on the 1st floor. I took a look and cast the spell. God says this is a clean room. The next moment, every item in the room became exceptionally tidy. Even the tissues on the floor became clean. Pei Yan looked at me with a bit of a pleasant surprise. Su Yanqi, this ability of yours is fantastic. He pulled out a few more crystal cores from his pocket and handed them to me. Take all these crystal cores. I'll go check for zombies after dinner. When I saw the crystal cores, my eyes lit up immediately, mimicking the girls in the short videos the original host used to watch. I spoke in a deliberately coy tone. Thank you, brother. Speak properly. As we were talking, there was a sudden knock on the door. Everyone went to the living room, their eyes falling on Shinji Bai. He gently closed his eyes, then opened them after a moment and spoke slowly. 2 men and 2 women. I don't sense any danger. Hearing Shin Jibai's words, Jifeng looked at Pei Yan for confirmation. Pei Ge, should we open the door? Jifeng went over and opened the door. Outside were, as Shin Jibai said, 2 men and 2 women. They didn't look very old, with a hint of innocent naivety in their eyes. Seeing Jifeng open the door, their faces immediately showed joy. Seeing 2 SUVs outside, they guessed someone must be here. They didn't expect it to be true. Closing the door again, Jifeng stepped back to Pei Yan's side, his expression wary. Who are you people? What do you want tonight? Hello there. We're students from the nearby Polytechnic University. We've been struggling to survive at school since the apocalypse began. Waiting for rescue. We only escaped school recently. During that time, we also met some flight awakened. So we know the current state of the world. Right. Along the way, except for a few flight awakened, we haven't run into any other humans. If it weren't for you, we'd think we were the only ones left in the world. Pei Yan raised an eyebrow slightly. You're from the Polytechnic? Then do you know Pei Gu? I know Pei Gu. He's a prominent figure at our school. But he probably doesn't know me. After chatting for a bit and learning each other's names, everyone gradually became acquainted. Knowing we were heading to Jishur base, Xue Qingfeng and the others asked to travel with us. I am a dual wood and speed awakened. Xia Qianqian has space ability, Shirlei has strength ability. We have our own supplies, we won't use yours. We just hope to reach Jishur together. And look out for each other where we can. Seeing Pei Yan frown slightly, seemingly reluctant to take them, Xue Qingfeng immediately stated their value. All 4 of them had abilities, and wouldn't consume their supplies. So Pei Yan agreed to head to Jishur base together. After getting to know each other, Su Nianan took out rice and eggs from his space. Let's have egg fried rice tonight. Saying that, he looked at me. I heard you're a food blogger. You cook it. I don't know how to cook. Su Nianan looked at me suspiciously. I added, I'm only responsible for eating and reviewing. Su Nianan was a bit helpless just as he was about to cook himself. Xia Qianqian, who was eating her self-eating rice, walked over. I know how to cook. Let me help you. Su Nianan seemed a bit embarrassed. My cooking is actually quite good. Think of it as thanks for agreeing to take us along. Su Nianan couldn't refuse again. Then I'll leave it to you. Xia Qianqian took the rice from Su Nianan. After washing the rice efficiently, she put it on a simple stove to start steaming. It's steaming. We'll fry it once the rice is ready. Thank you, but no need. Xia Qianqian's eyes were bright, staring fixedly at Su Nianan. I don't know your name? Su Nianan. As Xia Qianqian was about to continue, Su Qingzi nearby couldn't help but speak up. Nianan, come over here for a second. I have something to tell you. Then she looked at Xia Qianqian apologetically. Miss Xia, I'm sorry. My Nianan doesn't know how to cook. He's caused you trouble. Su Nianan frowned slightly hearing this. Xia Qianqian shook her head, blinking as she asked, our sister Qingzi and brother Nianan. Boyfriend and girlfriend? We're engaged. You two seem to have such a great relationship. After saying that, Xia Qianqian sat down at the dining table to continue eating, her eyes lowered so no one could tell what she was thinking. Xia Qianqian's cooking was indeed good. A portion of egg fried rice brought satisfied expressions to Pei Yan and his team. After eating, they took out a map and mapped out several routes to Jishur base. The specific route would depend on the situation. They had to leave here as soon as possible. H city, though not as badly hit as other cities, still faced flood risks. It wasn't serious yet, but one can never be sure about nature. So, it was safer to leave early. After assigning the night watch, I got clean clothes from Su Nianan and went to the bathroom for a shower. In the middle of the night, half asleep, I suddenly heard someone shouting and opened my eyes. Lack of sleep made me irritable. With messy hair, I opened the door. A single candle was lit in the living room, and several people had already been woken up. What's going on? As soon as I asked, I heard an unusual sound. What is that noise? Shin Jibai hurried down from the 2nd floor, his voice urgent. It's dangerous. I sense a lot of zombies. And it seems they are all running away. As soon as he finished speaking, a loud boom thundered in the sky. Lightning seemed to tear the sky apart, and massive raindrops fell instantly. The zombies are all running away? Jifeng asked anxiously. Pei Gu, what do we do now? We leave too. Get everything packed and leave immediately. The rain poured down, and in an instant, the ground was flooded. Shin Jibai sat in the back, watching this scene through the window. He frowned slightly. It must be a natural disaster. Look, even the rats are coming out. Because H City had no earthquakes or other disasters, the roads were still relatively clear. Driving along, we could see many other vehicles also fleeing. And this commotion didn't attract the zombies. It seemed that compared to food, survival was more important. Jifeng looked out the window, suddenly pointing into the distance. Look, it's flight awakened. Su Qingzi showed a rare look of envy. It must be so nice to be able to fly. I took a glance, and yawned. What's so hard about that? You act like you're a flight awakened yourself. What else could be hard? I'm not a flight awakened. But I can fly. Suchinsa rolled her eyes. You're just bragging without a script. With the help of Shinjibai's mental ability, the two SUVs continued to race ahead. The rain got heavier, and soon the water level rose, making it difficult for vehicles to move forward. Jifeng stepped on the gas, feeling it becoming more and more strenuous. We can't go any further. Not only is the rain too heavy, but the water on the ground is too deep. If we keep going, the car will stall. The headlights pierced through the curtain of water, but nothing could be seen ahead. In the pitch black, Pei Yan rolled down the window a bit, immediately hearing the fierce sound of rain and the howling wind. Rainwater poured in through the window gap. Check if there's any place nearby we can hide. We can't get to Jishur base for now. Having used his mental energy continuously along the way, Shinjibai's energy was overexhausted, and his face was quite pale. Hearing Pei Yan's words, he used his ability to sense for a moment longer. With a pale face, he said, to the southeast. There's a place where we can stay. Jifeng didn't hesitate. He immediately turned on the high beams and drove southeast. After driving for about 10 minutes, they finally saw the place Shinjibai mentioned. By then, the water level had risen to mid-calf height, and the car stalled automatically. Jifeng signaled everyone to grab flashlights and prepare to get out. I glanced at the murky floodwater. Expressionless, I spoke, God says, I can fly. And I won't get wet by the rain. Su Chinsa, who was about to get out of the car, saw this, and was instantly speechless. I say, Su Yanqi, is there something wrong with you? Talking all this nonsense at a time like this? Just as she wanted to continue her mockery, Su Chinsa's eyes widened in the next second. She saw my feet slowly lift off the ground, levitating out from within the car. The flashlight beams piercing through the rain curtain made the scene look exceptionally eerie. More importantly, the torrential downpour really couldn't touch me at all. Flying outside the car, I looked down at Jifeng, who was frozen in place with his mouth wide open. What are you dazed for? Lead the way, or not? Jifeng immediately answered respectfully, yes. After answering, he himself was stunned. Wait, why was he being so humble? He had subconsciously tried to please her. No, that wasn't the point. The point was, why was she asking him to lead the way? Jifeng felt a surge of annoyance, but his movements were swift. He reached out a hand and said pleasingly, this way. No, fly this way. After saying it, Jifeng regretted it again. He always felt that whenever he met Pei Ji's sister's eyes, he couldn't help but feel cowardly. The others looked at Jifeng and me in the air, their hearts filled with shock. They had never heard of a flight awakened who could fly without wings. And why didn't the rain touch her? Was this some kind of special treatment? The building Shinjibai mentioned was a small 3-story building. The first floor seemed to be a small supermarket. Shelves were overturned everywhere. Food and drinks were mostly gone, leaving only some daily necessities. They pulled down the rolling shutter door, and then everyone went up to the second floor. Just as I landed on the ground, several crystal cores were handed to me. I looked at Pei Yan in confusion. What's this? I asked, looking at Pei Yan. What do you mean? Clean this place up a bit. Pei Gu, clean what up? I ignored them. After absorbing the cores, I was in a good mood. God says, this place is clean and tidy. By the light of the flashlights, everyone clearly saw all the furniture here becoming spotless. And even the floor seemed to have been scrubbed. The white tiles were gleaming. Su Yanqi, what exactly is your ability? I told you, I know a little bit of everything. A little bit? I think it's more than a little bit. Su Chinsa bit her lip. But what kind of ability is this? Flying and cleaning. Jifeng said you also have a space ability. Is this a triple, quadruple, or quintuple element ability? The others were also curious about this question. So they all looked at me, waiting for an expression. But I sat on the sofa unhurriedly. The effect was probably thousands of elements. Having recovered quite a bit of spiritual power, I had completely risen to power. From now on, I no longer need to care about others' opinions. The others didn't notice my change in attitude. After all, in their eyes, I had always seemed this arrogant. When did I ever care about others? There weren't many rooms on the second floor, only 3. Fortunately, there were 2 more on the third floor, one of which was a large master bedroom. There weren't enough rooms, so naturally, some would have to share. But the risen me, how could I be willing? I cleaned this house. It's no problem if I take the master bedroom for myself, right? Everyone looked at Pei Yan. After all, while I cleaned the house, he was the one who provided the crystal cores. Before waiting for Pei Yan to speak, the usually quiet Gu Tiancheng was the first to agree. I think it's fine. Shen Nianan gave his friend a look, knowing full well Gu Tiancheng's reason for agreeing. Perhaps for others, an ability to clean a room is a bit trivial. But for a clean freak like Gu Tiancheng, it was a gift from heaven. This didn't seem like him. The aloof Gu Tiancheng had actually learned to please someone. Jifeng said, I have no objection either. Seeing that no one raised an issue, Pei Yan nodded and opened a room. Su Chinsa thought this was settled. Unhappy because there were 10 of us in total. 4 girls. If she takes one room to herself, doesn't that mean the 3 of us girls have to squeeze into one room? I don't agree. What about you two? Xiao Weiliang and Zhao Xinxin didn't answer her. They were originally just hitching a ride with Pei Yan. This place was found using Gu Tiancheng's ability. The room was cleaned by me. And the cores were paid by Pei Yan. Where did they have the right to vote? I crossed my arms. If you don't agree, then we'll settle it with a vote. A vote? They'll definitely side with you. Of the 6 of them, except for Su Nianan, who hadn't spoken, everyone else had already agreed. Then stop whining. Su Qinzi wanted to argue more, but she met my dark, icy eyes. She was instantly startled, feeling as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. Shaking with cold, how could this be? How could someone's eyes be so terrifying? The momentum she had built up evaporated, and the words she had prepared changed when they came out. Squeezing is fine. I didn't say we couldn't squeeze. The voice was loud, but the words were cowardly. I was very satisfied with her being sensible, withdrawing my aura. I took the opportunity to order her to my room to draw water for me. I want to take a bath. The others looked at me in shock. And then at Su Qinzi. Even if Xiao Weiliang and the others had only known her for a day, they knew Su Qinzi usually acted like a rich young lady. Speaking with an air of superiority, her giving in just now was already unbelievable. And I actually dared to push my luck. If those two started fighting later, should they pull Su Qinzi back first? Or pull Su Qinzi back first? As for me, well, they didn't dare pull me. To their surprise, Su Qinzi, who they thought would resist, maintained her posture. The voice was still loud, I'll do it. But the words were still soft. Su Qinzi stormed up to the 3rd floor. Her footsteps a bit hurried, with a hint of fleeing in panic. Su Nianan looked at me, with a faint hint of admiration in his eyes. Su Qinzi's princess temper. Sometimes even he couldn't handle it, and he didn't expect me to actually subdue her. After my bath, I went to the 2nd floor. The others had also tidied up and were getting ready to eat. Xiao Weiliang and the other 4 were still separate from them. Because the temperature dropped with the heavy rain, they decided to have self-heating hot pot for dinner. Sitting on a single sofa, smelling the hot pot in my hand, my eyes lit up. As expected, the taste didn't disappoint me. It was spicy, fresh, and aromatic. Even though it was mostly vegetables, it was still delicious. The others were also eating heartily. After all, luxury items like self-heating hot pot were usually things they couldn't bear to eat. In these times, being able to eat your fill is already good enough. I was eating excitedly, wishing I could have another bowl immediately. But thinking of the spiritual energy in my body, I restrained myself. I'll kill some zombies first, then I can eat hot pot every day. After eating, Pei Yan looked at the leftover hot pot soup I had, frowning slightly. These are all important. The implication was for me to finish it. Hot pot soup that one would disdain before the apocalypse was a rare delicacy after it began. Even wealthy people like Pei Yan and Su Qinzi ate everything clean. This really was a bit of a waste. I looked at the soup and really didn't want to eat it. A bit disgusted, I said, I don't want to eat it. Pei Yan disapproved. Just as he was about to advise me again, a sound came from beside us. If she's not eating, how about I eat it for her? Everyone was instantly shocked as they looked at Su Qinzi. Su Qinzi was also a bit embarrassed. I just think it's a waste. It's the apocalypse now. Naturally, we must cherish things. Eat it if you want. Su Qinzi's face blushed slightly. She took my portion of the soup base and tilted her head back to drink it. You're actually that kind of rich lady? I moved my seat away with some disgust. No wonder you can't beat the heroine. Even someone else's leftover hot pot soup can make you lose control. So spineless. Su Qinzi didn't care about others' opinions. Since the apocalypse, she basically never ate her fill, and there was no fat or oil in her stomach at all. She was so hungry every day she couldn't sleep. Especially after using her ability, she consumed energy even faster. What's wrong with leftover hot pot soup? If zombies weren't inedible. If she were truly desperate, even zombies, she'd rather that than starve to death. After finishing dinner, everyone had some energy back, and they discussed what to do next. Everyone immediately looked at Gu Tiancheng. After all, he had a mental ability. Even things he said out of intuition were quite reliable. Gu Tiancheng didn't use his ability again. His power was exhausted today. Now his whole body felt weak, and his head was spinning. It would take a whole night to recover. Pei Yan, after a moment of thought, said, let's head toward the East City first. There shouldn't be flood disasters there. And going to East City won't affect our trip to Jishur base. Going to East City is fine. Jifeng was the first to agree, but how to get there is the problem. Our cars definitely won't work anymore. If we wait for the water level to go down, who knows how long that will take. By then, our supplies won't last. Pei Yan frowned slightly. Then these next few days, we should mainly search for kayaks. We still have to leave as soon as possible. In H City, flood disasters are often accompanied by various bacteria and viruses. Xiao Weiliang, listening to them talk, couldn't help but interject in a low voice. Before she finished speaking, I spoke at almost the same time, but much louder, immediately drowning her out. What kayaks are you looking for? If you provide more crystal cores, I can produce them. Gu Tiancheng looked at me with suppressed surprise. Can your ability also conjure rescue boats out of thin air? I leaned back on the sofa with my arms crossed, my eyes indifferent. What's it to you? Do you want to gather the cores or not? If they could have rescue boats, they certainly wanted them. They couldn't be trapped here. If cores are gone, they can kill more zombies. If their lives are gone, it's really over. The other 9 people discussed it. There were 10 of us in total. If it were an average-sized rescue boat, 5 people could fit into one. However, to be more spacious, everyone felt it shouldn't be so tight. In the end, everyone was willing. The gathered cores were tallied up. Pei Yan set it at 5 cores per person. To exchange for 3 rescue boats, I readily agreed to the deal after quickly absorbing the 45 cores. I sat on the sofa without moving, just moving my lips. God says, there are 3 rescue boats in front of me. The 9 people watched, and after a surge of energy in the living room, 3 rescue boats indeed appeared out of thin air. Xiao Weiliang looked at me in shock. If it wasn't a rescue boat stored in a space, then what kind of ability was this? When it was time to depart, Xiao Weiliang looked at the person speaking. Jifeng excitedly squatted down beside me. Sister, no. Great one. I find that your ability can best be described as divine command. It fits perfectly. Whatever you say comes true. So, can the things I like to eat also be conjured? I want a portion of braised pork and white rice. Is this enough? The others couldn't bear to look at Jifeng's sycophantic behavior. But in their hearts, they also felt a bit of envy. White rice and braised pork, who wouldn't want to eat that? I raised an eyebrow slightly. I didn't expect these people to still have so many cores in their pockets. Too bad we're too familiar. It's not good to rob them. I took the cores. My brow smoothed out. It's possible. Cores. I didn't save them and absorbed them immediately, compared to Gu Tiancheng, who had been absorbing a core since just now, and hadn't even finished one. My speed was simply astonishingly fast. God says, there is a bowl of steaming rice before me, and a plate of braised pork. In the next second, on the coffee table in front of me, the rice and braised pork indeed appeared. And it was even steaming hot. The aroma of the braised pork wafted over. The sound of gulping saliva was exceptionally obvious. Jifeng, who couldn't wait to pounce on the rice, felt the wolf-like gazes of the group. Finally, he poured the rice onto the plate and found a corner to wolf down his food quickly. The fat and sugar in the meat combined perfectly, creating a texture where sweetness and richness melded, making Jifeng squint his eyes as he ate. This is life. From today on, it's either him or the zombies. There's no middle ground between him and the zombies. One of them has to die. The others smelled the meat aroma, and their just-filled stomachs were instantly hungry again. But thinking of their own general situation, they gave up. Compared to filling one's belly, upgrading their own abilities to survive and grow strong in this apocalypse was more important. When they become strong, will they still fear lacking supplies? After weighing it like this, the group looked at Jifeng and suppressed the thoughts in their hearts. Pei Yan looked at me with complex eyes. Sensing his gaze, I immediately stated my stance. Consider me your cheap brother, but don't think you can get things for free. If you want to eat, you have to pay in cores. Pei Yan was a bit helpless. He wasn't particularly greedy. Your ability is truly divine command. Whatever you say happens. You could say that. I looked at my own thin arms and legs, thinking I must take good care of myself during this time. The original host's height was 163 centimeters, but she weighed only 40 kilograms, completely reduced to skin and bones. As for that face, I took one look and didn't want to look a second time. Su Qinza, who was squatting beside me finishing the hot pot soup, immediately said excitedly upon hearing those words, divine command? Doesn't that mean if you say the apocalypse is over, the apocalypse can end? Theoretically, that is the case, Su. Nianan pressed, but it requires enough energy. I pointed to Jifeng eating in the corner. Just like his meal. If he wanted a full imperial feast, obviously his small amount of cores would not be enough. Su Qinza lowered her head in discouragement. Then that's actually impossible. The energy to end the apocalypse. You'd have to gather the cores of all the zombies in the entire world. That might not be necessary. Pei Yan's dark eyes looked at me steadily. Although ending the apocalypse might be unlikely, the energy to create a vaccine should still be possible. These words opened up a new line of thinking for everyone. Zhao Xinxin said excitedly, that's right. As long as a vaccine for the zombie virus is developed, at least the survivors won't fear being infected again. The number of zombies won't increase anymore. Humanity can still be saved. Suddenly, everyone looked at me with shining eyes. Pei Yan said, I suggest that from now on, we don't let her do anything dangerous. We will give her priority protection. Do you agree? As soon as these words came out, the people who were treating me like a savior just now immediately avoided Pei Yan's gaze. Protecting me as a priority is fine, provided they themselves aren't in danger. Every man for himself, or the heavens will destroy you. They were not some self-sacrificing saints who would give up their lives for the greater good. I snorted coldly. You guys just protect yourselves. I don't need your protection. Similarly, I won't protect you. The matter of priority protection was just dropped like that. I didn't take it to heart. Human nature is selfish. Although I'd spent a few days with Pei Yan's group, and it seemed we got along well, if something truly happened, except for Pei Yan, I really might not save them. Just as they thought. Whether to save or not requires calculation. At night, besides the ghostly wailing of the zombies, I rested quite well. After a night of torrential rain, the rain the next day did not get any smaller. After everyone had breakfast, they looked out from the second-floor window. The water level had risen quite a bit again. Outside, besides zombies walking in the rain, no pedestrians could be seen. Zhuo Qingfeng, looking at this scene, couldn't help but ask, "Do you think these zombies will drown?" "They won't." Before anyone else could answer, Xia Qianqian's firm voice came over. Everyone's eyes immediately turned to her. Zhuo Qingfeng asked blindly, "Qianqian, how do you know they won't?" "It's a conclusion drawn from observation." Xia Qianqian paused before answering, "Did you forget? These zombies, even if you cut off their heads can still survive. Although they have no bodies. And the danger of a lone head is almost zero. You can't ignore the fact that it's still alive." Su Nianan looked at Xia Qianqian with some admiration. "So, your point is, as long as the zombie's head isn't harmed, or rather, the core, in a strict sense, it's still alive?" "Yes. Because in a sense, a zombie is immortal. They can even continue to upgrade." The Yang Ziheng laughed. "Isn't this just eternal life? If the first emperor knew eternal life was like this, he wouldn't have been so obsessed. If the zombie virus could prevent our bodies from mutating and keep our minds rational, Jifeng let his imagination run wild, then maybe we would be conquering the stars by now. It sounds so cool just thinking about it. Fighting aliens sounds much better than fighting zombies. Aliens are a different species, after all." Gu Tianqing had recovered today. He sat on the sofa in the living room. Usually, he only wore a white shirt, but today, because of the drop in temperature, he wore a thin black trench coat. He sat with his legs crossed, drinking hot water from a cup. After a glance at the rain outside, he spoke. "This rain will probably last for a week. We can't stay here for that long. Yan, what do you say?" Yesterday they calculated their supplies. It was just enough to eat for a week, but they certainly couldn't cut it that close. "We definitely can't go out today. The rain is so heavy. When will the rain get smaller?" Gu Tianqing had to use his ability to sense his premonitions for travel over the next few days one by one. "Finally, we can leave the day after tomorrow, but we should be alive." He couldn't sense anything further than that. After all, his ability was only level 2. I've heard that level 3 is the watershed for abilities. Compared to level 1 and 2, there will be a qualitative change. It seems he still needs to reach level 3 as soon as possible. Pei Yan made the final decision. "Then we depart the day after tomorrow. No objections, right?" Naturally, no one had any. It was raining hard outside. Searching for supplies wasn't appropriate either. Pei Yan simply called out. Jifeng and Su Nianan went to the first floor to check things out. It had been too late last night. The first floor was a small shop. Some goods were still hanging on the walls. They had to see if there was anything usable. Water had already seeped in through the cracks in the door. Some shells that had fallen on the ground were floating in the water. The sound of rain outside beat against the walls with a pitter-patter. The sound was even louder as it hit the shutter door. Along with it came the hollow wailing of zombies. When the flashlight beam shook downstairs and a cold wind blew, it was pitch black and truly creepy. The water on the first floor hadn't accumulated too high. Pei Yan and the others simply took the lifeboat over to look. The things hanging on the supply wall were almost all useless. School bags, straw hats, kettles, and other daily necessities. Jifeng said in surprise, "Brother I found some raincoats here. Take the kettles, straw hats, and raincoats. It's quite far to East City. If we catch a cold from the rain, our medicine reserves aren't quite enough." Su Nianan nodded and waved his hand, storing all these things into his space. "My space is almost full too. I need to level up as soon as possible." For a level 1 space-type ability user, the space was indeed small, only 5 cubic meters of actual storage. Not much, but clothes, pots, bowls, and other daily necessities were piled high. "Well, we'll see the day after tomorrow." My group had been hunkered down in this 3-story residential building. Fortunately, no danger occurred. Waking up early the day after tomorrow and looking out the window, the rain had indeed lessened. It had turned into a light drizzle. Pei Yan gave the 4 collected rain coats to me and a few of them. I was a bit disgusted, but thinking about saving spiritual power, I still needed quite a bit of it. I accepted it anyway. The wrinkled and ugly raincoat. The shutter door, closed for days, finally opened. 3 lifeboats slowly floated out. There was still aura outside. Some zombies were floating on the water's surface, looking very much like they were just lying flat. As soon as they came out, the fresh scent of humans immediately made their grayish-white eyes look as if they had come to life, swollen even more from the water. The rotting corpses stood up. The maggots on them had long been washed off, floating on the water. Grayish-white eyes without pupils. Seemed like they could see people. Clawing and flailing, they ran towards them. However, due to the resistance of the water and the fact that it was daytime, their speed wasn't fast. In fact, it was very slow. My eyes lit up just as I was about to speak. I heard Pei Yan say, "Kill these zombies. Every bit of meat counts, no matter how small, and lone zombies are more cost-effective." Before Pei Yan's words could even land, Jifeng, Zhuo Qingfeng, and the others all attacked at once. They had said before that the zombie cores belonged to whoever kills them. Now that there were easy-to-kill lone zombies, They naturally wouldn't let them go. One zombie hadn't even reached them before its head was blasted open. Jifeng held 2 core casings, calculating in his mind that when he saw zombies later, he must kill more. That way, the white rice and braised pork would be secured. He had never looked forward to seeing zombies so much. Thinking about it made him a little excited. As the lifeboat suggested, they floated all the way towards East City. Successively, they encountered many zombies just like at the entrance. Although the sudden heavy rain restricted humans, it restricted zombies just the same. Humans had lifeboats, but zombies didn't have that advantage. I wanted to speak up, but I found that if I spoke to compete for them, I wouldn't be as fast as their direct attacks. So, despite having a sharp sword that could slay zombies, I watched as I directly controlled it. With a graceful motion, whenever I saw a zombie, it was a sword strike straight into the head. Then with a twist of the wrist, the core was flicked out by that beautiful long sword. The clean and effortless movements created an illusion. These zombies were not falling to the ground even though the water had softened their bodies like watermelons. Wanting to save effort, Jifeng took out his previous kitchen knife from Sunianan. The moment he slashed down, he realized he was wrong. The skulls of these zombies were just as hard. The zombies he cut couldn't compare to mine at all. And because moving on a lifeboat was inconvenient, it was somewhat clumsy. They thought traveling by lifeboat would be full of danger. But the result was quite the opposite. The combat power of the zombies had decreased infinitely. Zombies that were originally in packs had also been scattered by the flood. One here, one there. It became difficult for them to regroup. I don't know if it just made things easier for me. The whole group felt like they were just picking up cores after the knife fell on a zombie. Except for me, the others didn't overexert themselves. Instead, they killed for a while, rested, then killed again. Taking turns like this was to avoid danger. Everyone was catching their breath. Shuofeng had killed about a dozen zombies and was sitting down to rest, only to see my body fly up. I killed a zombie that was slightly further away from them. After tucking the core into my bag, I flew back. The movements were clean and agile. He wanted to ask if I ever got tired. Then he thought again. Those cores of hers. She could absorb them completely in just 1 second. Is this the world of a big shot? I could cry. No wonder she eats braised pork every day. Everyone else needed to rest. Only I didn't. So as we traveled, wherever we went, zombies died, and those cores seemed to come for free. Seeing that made him truly envious. Turn left up ahead. After Gu Tianqing sensed something, he said there were many zombies up ahead. I was excited to hear this. Without waiting for Gu Tianqing to answer, I released my mental power. My eyes immediately showed joy. Indeed, many. Gu Tianqing immediately asked keenly, "You can sense them too? Didn't I say I know a little bit of everything?" Gu Tianqing felt that mental type abilities were a bit different from others. But he couldn't quite say how they were different. Without waiting for them to speak, I immediately stated my purpose. I want to go there. No. Gu Tianqing frowned and objected. That's the road to the hospital. If you ask where the most people are in an apocalypse, it's undoubtedly the hospital. Normally, hospitals are already crowded. Because of the flu outbreak before the apocalypse, even more people went to hospitals. The medical systems in many places even collapsed at one point. So since the apocalypse began, all the people trapped in the hospital, basically those who were there when the virus broke out, basically none could escape. They all became zombies. So what? I know your ability is powerful, and you absorb energy quickly, but they will overwhelm you with numbers. Tianqing didn't know how many zombies were at the hospital, but just thinking about it made his scalp tingle. Not to mention the streets surrounding the hospital, there wouldn't be a shortage of zombies there either. It was very likely that before even reaching the hospital, one would be killed by other zombies. Moreover, Pei Yan asked from the side. Moreover what? Moreover, I have a premonition that the danger at the hospital isn't just because there are many zombies. There should be other more dangerous things. As for specifically what, I can't sense it. On Gu Tianqing's usually indifferent face, there was now a bit of serious earnestness. His intuition told him it was very dangerous there, at least with their current strength. Going there would surely mean death. I didn't reply immediately, but my body floated up lightly. If you guys don't go, then I'll go myself. It's rare to encounter such a good opportunity. To enhance my strength, I naturally wouldn't let it go. Without power, every step is difficult. That feeling of weakness and helplessness when I first arrived a few days ago, I didn't want to feel it again. Zhu Yuanqi, don't be willful. Pei Yan frowned slightly. I know you're brave because of your skills, but Tianqing has a point. They'll overwhelm you with numbers. It's better to be safe in everything we do. I don't have many things, but zombies are what I have the most of. I'm afraid of not encountering them. I suspended in midair, looking down at them from above. Thanks for your care these past few days. But no one can change the decisions I make. As my words fell, a dozen cores dropped at Pei Yan's feet. This is a thank you gift, though the girl was so thin and weak. At this moment, everyone seemed to feel my powerful self. Confidence and that light glance. Like the way an immortal looks at mortals. It wasn't contempt, nor was it mockery. It was like the way people see flowers, plants, and trees without feeling anything, just lightly glancing over them. Seeing this, Pei Yan still wanted to persuade me, but I turned my back to them. Waved my hand backward. and spoke in a relaxed tone, "We'll meet again." The figure flew further and further away. Jifeng was a bit anxious. "Wait, Brother Pei, Sister Ling is really leaving just like that? Are we not going to chase her?" I've only eaten white rice and braised pork once." Pei Yan naturally wanted to chase after her, but they were a team. So he looked at the others. "What do you think?" Qingfeng glanced at Xiao Weiliang. After sensing the other's meaning, he sat down in the lifeboat. "We're not going. She has a flight ability. But we don't. Not to mention Gu Tiancheng said besides zombies. There are other dangers." Of course, Zhuo Qingfeng had words he didn't say out loud. Even if they really went, that girl wouldn't necessarily be grateful. Those dark eyes were simply too indifferent. He had always felt a sense of being offended. As if in my eyes, he was like cattle, horses, or grass. So if they encountered danger, I wouldn't necessarily step in to save them. Su Jint's hurried to ask, "Brother He, what about us?" Although he had always been suppressed by me, for some reason, Su Jint's didn't hate me. In fact, he was a person who admired the strong deep in his bones. Before the apocalypse, Su Nianan was excellent in all aspects, a standout among the group of second-generation heirs. After the apocalypse, he awakened a rare space-type ability. Already having a good impression of Su Nianan. That impression deepened after the apocalypse. He always thought he quite liked Su Nianan. But now he realized he liked me more. Because in his heart, I was stronger than Su Nianan. Pei Yan didn't make a decision directly, but asked the others, "What do you think?" Although he really wanted to go, this wasn't something he could decide privately. His friends had made him the leader of the team. So he naturally had to consider everyone's safety. Otherwise, if something happened, he wouldn't be able to forgive himself. Xiao Weiliang looked nervously at Pei Yan's group. He naturally didn't want these people to go. If they left, their newly found strong partners with decent character would be gone. Moreover, Su Nianan was still here. I know. Jifeng sat on the lifeboat, quietly lifting his eyes to look at the others. He naturally wanted to go. That was braised pork and white rice. I ask you, who could refuse? Who? But his reason told him that this was a matter concerning everyone's lives. He couldn't make a decision so flippantly. This left Jifeng in a dilemma, unable to make any decision. "Whatever decision you guys make, I'll go along with it." Jifeng, having trouble deciding, simply didn't choose, throwing the problem to others. Su Nianan wasn't as conflicted as Jifeng. He said directly, "I don't agree to go." "Tiancheng, what about you?" Gu Tiancheng frowned slightly. In his heart, there was actually a very strange matter that he hadn't spoken about. That was, his mental ability seemed useless against me. He was now a level 2 ability user. Besides being able to sense safety within a certain range, he could also sense the likes and dislikes of humans and ability users towards him. Like when Xiao Weiliang's group came over earlier, he could sense that this group didn't pose much of a threat to him. And these people didn't come with ill intent. But me, he couldn't sense anything at all. It was like a pool of stagnant water, or like air. As if I didn't exist at all. Just like right now, he only perceived that if they went to the hospital, the result would be a narrow escape from death. But clearly there was me as a variable. Yet it was as if I wasn't there. He couldn't calculate this variable. I also disagree. Since it couldn't be calculated, it was uncontrollable. No one knew which step things would ultimately take. Pei Yan looked at Su Jint's again. Su Jint's bit his lip. Then lowered his head somewhat listlessly. "I give up on choosing." His giving up surprised everyone a bit. They thought he would very firmly express disagreement with looking for me. After all, they all thought Jint's must hate me. Unexpectedly, they were wrong. Two chose to disagree. Two gave up on choosing. With only Pei Yan left, no matter what choice he made, it wouldn't change the predetermined outcome. The man lowered his gaze slightly, his voice deep. Then turned left. The lifeboat turned towards the left, heading in the opposite direction of the road to the hospital. The atmosphere was silent. Jifeng, lacking any tact, asked, "Brother Pei, are you okay?" Others gave up easily, because I had nothing to do with them. But Brother Pei was my brother. Even without a blood relationship, after being together for many years, even a dog would have feelings, let alone a living person. "I'm fine." Everyone stopped talking. Seeing zombies, they silently killed them. The previously good mood seemed to have vanished. On the other side, I didn't know that my departure had caused Pei Yan and the others' moods to drop. Right now, I was in a quite good mood. This road was the main artery to the hospital. There were many cars. Because the heavy rain had caused the water level to rise, these cars were all soaked in water. Many cars still had zombies trapped inside. Level 1 zombies had no intelligence. Trapped by a door, they didn't even know how to open it. Sensing a human scent, they would only keep slamming their numb bodies against the doors, attempting to break them open. I flew easily above, letting not a single car go. Whenever I saw a zombie inside, I would open the door, then neatly flick out the zombie's core. The cores I got were absorbed on the spot. Meaning the more zombies I killed, the stronger my power became. There was no sense of exhaustion at all, like a perpetual motion machine. This feels great. Having cleared more than half the road, I finished absorbing the cores. My whole body was filled with power, and my mood was very good. They're just too weak. Not a single one who can actually fight. I was just a few meters from the hospital's main entrance. From a distance, I saw the space in front of the railings. In front of the hospital parking lot, it was densely packed with zombies. My eyes lit up. Sure enough, there were many zombies. My hand movements couldn't help but speed up. Just then, I felt a beam of light shaking around me. I turned my head slightly, following the light source to look up. Right in a residential building opposite the hospital, at a window on about the 12th or 13th floor, 3 heads were huddled together. One person held a large whiteboard with SOS written on it. Another person used a flashlight to continuously shine light on me, trying to get my attention. The third one was waving at me desperately. To save or not to save? That wasn't even a question. I glanced at the people upstairs, and then ignored them. Continuing to clear the zombies in the remaining few cars, the 3 people upstairs saw me glance at them, then act as if I hadn't seen anything. They immediately got angry. Damn, stinking bitch. The middle-aged man with the flashlight was exasperated, revealing a mouth full of big yellow teeth. She just saw us, didn't she? But she acted like she didn't. She clearly doesn't want to save us. The very haggard woman holding the whiteboard put it down. She glanced timidly at the middle-aged man. Mom, he's not saving us. So what do we do? The middle-aged man looked at her with rage, raising his hand and slapping her face. What can we do? If she doesn't save us, then she shouldn't think about leaving either. The other one was also a woman, but compared to the haggard woman, she was much younger, looking only in her early 20s. Brother, you. Being called brother so delicately. The middle-aged man's mood improved quite a bit. He pulled the woman into his arms. Bring that phone over. That little bitch has been clearing zombies all the way from the main road. She really thinks she's something special. Let's show her what a beatdown from society looks like. The young woman gave the man a flirtatious look, then went into the room to get the phone. After the apocalypse, these electronic products were basically useless. They could only be used simply to pass the time. After 3 months, no matter how full the battery was, electronic products were dead. But who can help it? This is the apocalypse. If yours is out of power, aren't there other people's? The young woman brought the phone over and turned it on. Brother, this phone still has about 10 bars of power. It should be enough. It won't be a waste. Aren't you the smart one? The middle-aged man glanced at the woman, showing a lewd grin. Give your brother a little recharge in a bit, and we'll fight our way down another floor. The young woman acted shy, smiling as she handed the phone to the middle-aged man. The man took it and opened a music app. After turning the volume to the maximum, he played an extremely loud, high-energy song and threw it down towards me while I was clearing zombies. The phone's volume was set to the max. In this quiet area where there was only the slight sound of rain and the wailing of zombies, it was exceptionally jarring. Level 1 zombies were very sensitive to sound. Some who were a bit further from me and hadn't sensed my presence at this moment heard the sound and came racing towards my direction. The ordinary phone dropped right beside me. Seeing this, I finished the last zombie in the car with a single strike, and once again looked up towards the building opposite. That man seemed to be waiting for my reaction. Seeing me look over, he gave a provocative grin. Fearing I wouldn't see clearly, he even thoughtfully gave me the middle finger. Seeing this, I gave a faint smile. Truly, it had been a long time since I'd seen an idiot who dared to provoke me. The reason the middle-aged man provoked me like this, besides the fact that I had refused to save them, was also because he had awakened a strength-type ability. Of course, the more important reason was because at the bottom of their building, there was a level 2 zombie. The man didn't know the exact location, but after clearing from the 33rd floor down to the 12th, he became increasingly afraid to clear any further down. This woman clearly had an ability, and a powerful one at that. If I come looking for her for revenge, then regardless of whether she can kill me, if I encounter that level 2 zombie, I can let my enemies kill each other. It would be absolutely perfect. Just as the middle-aged man was feeling smug about his plan, in the next second a smile froze on his face. I was standing in the air. Zombies from all directions, drawn by the music, were rushing toward my position with all their might. I didn't move, I just flew a bit higher, ensuring the zombies couldn't reach me at this height. I looked over at the middle-aged man, who was still watching the show like a thug. I felt a sudden whim and said, "Bring that man over here." To me. In the next second, fear filled the man's eyes. He felt a force constantly manipulating him, pulling him toward the window. Startled, he instinctively grabbed the woman beside him, but the force was incredibly strong, dragging both of them along. The haggard woman was stunned by the sight. She hurriedly grabbed the young woman with one hand, and gripped a nearby cabinet door with the other, yet she still couldn't stop her body from losing control. The young woman tried to shake off the haggard woman's hand, but how could she break free from the grip of a strength-type ability user? The haggard woman easily shook off the young woman's hand instead, watching the two of them fall toward the street. A trace of satisfaction couldn't help but surface in her heart. After all, if that man stayed, he would only continue to beat and scold her. Anyway, next time, it probably would have been her turn to feed the zombies. To see her partner die before her in this life, the haggard woman couldn't help but smile. Since the apocalypse began, her eyes, which had been as dull as stagnant water, seemed to have a spark of light now. She widened her eyes to see how that man would die. What is going on? What's happening? The man had never imagined. There was an ability that could control people from thin air. He couldn't even fathom it. That's why he had dared to provoke me so recklessly. He thought he was safe because I couldn't reach him. Amidst the man's screams, his body slowly descended toward me. Before he could do anything, I raised a foot and kicked him hard. This kick sent the man flying, and the woman he was holding plummeted into the water. As luck would have it, the two of them landed directly on a car, floating in the floodwater. The noise of the impact immediately attracted the zombies that had been drawn by the phone and were trying to bite me. The man had no time to speak. He scrambled to his feet and pulled out a steel knife he carried, instantly killing the first zombie that lunged at him. I stood high above, squinting, watching the man kill the zombies. Whenever he killed a zombie, the crystal would automatically fly into my hand. I clearly intended to squeeze every last bit of value out of the man before he died. After the man awakened his strength type ability, he had fought his way from the 33rd floor to the 12th. He did have some skills. At least his ability had already reached level 2. However, facing an ever-increasing number of zombies, he would eventually meet his end. As for the woman beside him, before a zombie could bite him, he kicked her far away. He didn't do this to save her, but to make her distract some of the zombies. The tactic worked. As the woman was kicked away, some zombies immediately pounced toward the noise. The poor woman only let out a single scream before being torn apart and bitten to death by 5 or 6 zombies. Bright red blood flowed into the filthy water. The heavy scent of blood made all the nearby zombies howl with excitement. They fell into a frenzy, pouncing toward the man in a swarm. The man's hand holding the steel knife was trembling. He cried and pleaded while killing zombies. "I'm sorry. Great ancestor, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please, have mercy. Just let me go, like I'm nothing." I withdrew my sword and folded my arms. I don't have such unfilial descendants. Please, save me. As long as you spare me, I'm willing to do anything for you. Please. I didn't utter a word as the man's strength failed. Seeing the endless swarm of zombies on the street, he flew into a rage out of humiliation. Before he could finish speaking, a flash of sword light passed. The man's eyes widened, his blood spilling into the water, as his body fell backward. In the final moment of his life, he saw countless zombies pouncing on him. A single corpse wasn't enough to satisfy the zombies. Instead, it made their urge to devour flesh even more intense. But I was flying high. No matter how they jumped below, they couldn't touch me at all. In fact, I didn't even need to point my finger. I used my spiritual power to drive that sharp sword, weaving it back and forth through the zombie crowd. One by one, the zombies fell. It was like they were dropping loot. With every zombie that went down, a crystal would fly toward me. I didn't stockpile the crystals. I basically absorbed them as soon as they hit my hand. Perhaps the commotion here was too loud, as it soon attracted other zombies. In particular, a loud and unusual sound reached my ears. I turned slightly and saw that at the bottom of the building opposite, a zombie had actually jumped out. He obviously couldn't fly, yet a single leap took him 3 meters high. Not only could he jump high, but he could also jump far. This zombie was male, with a distorted face. Half of it had been eaten away. Maggots infested the rotting flesh, wriggling between the rot and his pale, cloudy eyes. His thick lips let out a low, guttural roar. Swinging his remaining arm, the hideous creature lunged at me rapidly. I dodged quickly, the sword returning to my hand. Just as I was about to move forward, a sharp gust of wind appeared before me, cutting through the air. I quickly leaned aside to avoid it, but the wind blade ruthlessly harvested the zombies that had been standing near me. A wind-type zombie. My eyes lit up. This zombie was clearly different from the ordinary ones, so its crystal should be different too. The wind zombie seemed to sense my contemptuous attitude. It was instantly surrounded by a strong whirlwind. The invisible wind began to take form in the air, creating faintly visible, solid wind blades. The blades were powerful and swift, and their direction could be controlled. When the wind blades continued to chase me, after I dodged them, I stopped playing cat and mouse with the zombie. I instantly flashed to the zombie's side. The zombie moved fast, quickly using its wind ability to dodge. But I was faster. With a swift strike, a blue crystal was plucked out by the tip of my sword. I felt the energy inside the crystal. As expected, it contained about 10 times more energy than the previous ones. In a good mood, I watched the wind zombie's corpse get devoured by others. Trying to mess with me? You've really hit a steel wall. I wasn't tired after the fight, but I was starting to get hungry. Just as I was about to sheath my sword, I saw that familiar light flashing again. I looked up once more, and saw the remaining haggard woman. holding up a whiteboard. The words on the board were no longer SOS. But there are many ready-made crystals here. Clearly, the woman knew I wasn't someone driven by compassion. Morality had no effect on me, so she could only try to entice me with profit. She had seen it clearly just now, or rather, all those ability users really loved crystals. I glanced at the woman and asked, "Are you a good cook?" The two of us were clearly far apart, yet the haggard woman felt as if those words were whispered right in her ear. Ignoring my supernatural display, the woman nodded hurriedly. "Yes, I am. I'm good. My father used to be a chef." My eyes lit up. Currently, the strongest flight type ability users were only level 2. Able to fly only 5 or 6 meters high. I flew directly up to the woman on the 12th floor, seeing me defy Newton's laws, and hovered directly in the air. The woman felt a massive shock to her system. However, she didn't show it on her face. Instead, she said very obsequiously, "Great one, do you need me to help you in?" "No need." I flew directly through the window. Upon landing inside, I first scanned the apartment. It was surprisingly clean. Sensing my confusion, the woman proactively explained, "After the apocalypse, we moved down floor by floor from the 33rd. So the apartments are all relatively clean. I usually tidy up as well." "Great one, my name is Lu Guixiong. You can just call me Xiao Lu." I sat down on a clean wooden stool. "Who were those two people just now?" Lu Guixiong hesitated before explaining. "That man was my husband. We originally lived on the top floor. After the apocalypse, he awakened a strength ability. As for the other woman, she was a college student from the 20th floor. She was the only one in her family not infected by the virus. To survive, she submitted herself to my husband." "Oh. Then I killed your husband. Don't you hate me?" "Why would I hate you? I wanted him dead more than anything." A deep hatred burned in Lu Guixiong's eyes. "He snatched away my family's vast business. Lu's 14 was my father's life's work. Its reputation was always excellent. After he passed away, I was too incompetent. I didn't have the ability to manage it. I only knew how to cook. Step by step, he took everything from me." "Enough," I interrupted her. I wasn't interested in the melodrama between Lu Guixiong and her husband. As for the things she mentioned, anyone could guess what had happened with just a bit of thought. "Where are the crystals you mentioned?" "They're in the room. I'll go get them for you." Lu Guixiong hurried into the room. She soon emerged carrying a small cardboard box. There really were quite a lot of crystals inside. At a glance, there were over 100. These were all collected by him. He had an ability, but he didn't know how to absorb these crystals. So he just kept them. It wasn't until last month that he figured it out. And since then, he had been absorbing them every day to improve his strength. She said he was a level 2 strength type ability user. But I grabbed a handful of crystals from the box and began to absorb them. But even as a level 2 ability user, he didn't dare go down. Because he said there was a very dangerous ore below. There's at least a level 2 or even a level 3 zombie. That's why we stayed on the 12th floor for several days, not daring to move further down. Lu Guixiong was truly terrified of the man, fearing him from the bottom of her heart. To survive, she had been forced to compromise her dignity. Now that such a beast was dead, she could only say that heaven had eyes. Possibly a level 3 zombie? I immediately released my spiritual sense to probe downward. In the end, I was disappointed. There was a level 2 zombie, but no level 3. Still, a level 2 would do. It was better than ordinary zombies. I wasn't in a hurry to go kill that zombie. Under Lu Guixiong's shocked gaze, in less than 2 minutes, I had absorbed all those crystals completely. Lu Guixiong didn't have many supplies left, only some opened bags of biscuits. I looked at the crumbs and let out a disdainful scoff. "What dishes can you cook?" "Great one, I can cook several of the Lu's 14 major cuisines. But I specialize in homestyle cooking. Our most famous dish is sauerkraut fish. We're also quite good at various seafood dishes. After all, this is a coastal city. Seafood is plentiful here. There were many tourists, so my father researched some seafood recipes, which eventually received unanimous praise from diners." "From what you say, your father seems to have been a very skilled chef." "My skills have probably only scratched the surface of my father's." At the mention of her father, Lu Guixiong's eyes dimmed. "Unfortunately, my father died in a car accident. Otherwise, if my father were still here, the reputation of Lu's 14 would never have been ruined." I raised an eyebrow. "Have you ever considered that your father's car accident might not have been an accident?" Lu Guixiong was stunned by the realization. Her usually muddled mind suddenly became clear. Her eyes reddened in an instant. "It was I who killed my father. I took pity on him. Yet I didn't even know my father was murdered. I even had to be reminded by someone else. If I had known sooner, even if it meant my death, I would have taken that man down with me." I felt nothing for Lu Guixiong's pain. I only cared about my own affairs. Where would one go to eat seafood? Also, do you know how to make spicy crayfish? Lu Guixiong struggled to control her emotions. speaking with a slight nasal tone. Yes, I can. I can cook everything my father could. It's just not as good as his. But we don't have any seasonings or ingredients here. Then let's have a simple meal, and then we'll go look for supplies. With my level of power, I could naturally conjure spicy crayfish out of thin air, but what I wanted to eat was the authentic, original flavor. I had no interest in things conjured by spatial power. Suddenly, 4 cream buns appeared before Lu Guixiong. She was just about to offer me her remaining biscuits, when she saw this great one suddenly say something mysterious. Then, 4 cream buns appeared out of nowhere. What kind of ability is this? Being able to conjure supplies out of thin air. Doesn't that mean one would never starve? Eat. After a short rest, we'll go find supplies. Lu Guixiong found it a bit strange. Couldn't this great one conjure supplies herself? Why did she still need her? To go look? Of course, she only wondered this in her heart. She didn't dare to ask. Lu Guixiong knew very well that my current approachable manner was only because she still had value. Once she was useless or if her cooking tasted bad, the other party would abandon her without hesitation. She hadn't forgotten that this person was no saint. Cream buns, a food ignored before the apocalypse, had become a luxury after the world ended. As she ate the soft, fragrant bread, Lu Guixiong felt the beauty of being alive once more. After eating, Lu Guixiong packed a bag. Inside were some sanitary pads and a change of clothes. Then she added the half bag of biscuits and a bottle of water. The great one might not care, but she didn't have that luxury. Let's go. We'll clear this building first. Let's clear this building. Lu Guixiong followed tremblingly behind me. When Wang Qing was killing zombies, he would occasionally make her scout ahead. The terrifying appearance of the zombies had left a massive psychological scar on her. She glanced timidly at the great one in front of her. Seeing that I had no intention of making her scout ahead, Lu Guixiong felt a genuine sense of relief. The zombies on the 12th floor had been cleared by Wang Qing, so I went directly to the fire escape to go downstairs. I pushed open the heavy fire door. The creaking sound echoed, exceptionally loud in the stairwell, where only the sound of breathing remained. Lu Guixiong's heart was pounding wildly. She gripped the hem of her shirt with both hands, staring fixedly down the stairs. If the Great One couldn't win, she would turn and run immediately. She would rather starve to death, than be bitten to death by zombies, and become a walking corpse. At that moment, she saw a sharp, cold sword suddenly appear in the hand of the person ahead. Lu Guixiong was startled, but she didn't make a scene. After the apocalypse, she had learned to control herself well, not letting herself scream out loud. The sound of the opening door indeed attracted the zombies downstairs. As if a switch had been flipped, numerous zombies began to hiss and growl irritably together, sounding like a pack of howling wolves in the mountains. Thump thump thump. Some of the zombies, despite missing limbs, were stumbling and racing up the stairs. I didn't stop my pace and continued downstairs. Upon seeing the zombies, I threw out my sword, driving it with my spiritual power. In an instant, the 2 zombies coming up the stairs were killed. The crystals flew into my hand, yet the sword remained hovering in the air. Watching this scene, Lu Guixiong was once again struck with shock. She had lost count of how many times she'd been shocked in the short time since meeting me. However, she now had a firm realization in her heart. This great one was powerful, exceptionally powerful. If she could stay by my side, her safety would be maximally guaranteed. More importantly, the great one was female. After the apocalypse began, even though Lu Guixiong hadn't gone out to see the world, within just this one building, she had already witnessed the collapse of morality and the loss of humanity. If a woman has no value, she becomes goods, or rather, a plaything, just like that female college student, constantly using her body to please Wang Qing. Wang Qing was old enough to be her father, yet to survive, she had to swallow her pride and call him brother. Lu Guixiong didn't look down on the student. The girl wanted to live and hadn't hurt anyone. She only hurt herself. She only hurt herself. And others had no right to judge. Descending to the 11th floor, I led Lu Guixiong directly to the hallway. There were 2 apartments per floor, facing each other. I could hear zombies inside the doors, constantly slamming their bodies against them. The doors were rattling, seeming as if they could be burst open at any moment. I walked to one of the doors, and made a swift cut across the middle. The thick iron door actually split open from the center. With my unintended assistance, the zombies inside burst the door open. It was likely a family of 3. One could clearly see a couple, and a boy about 10 years old. The bodies of all 3 were relatively intact, with no visible bite marks. Likely, when the virus broke out, the immune systems of all 3 failed to resist, and they all turned into zombies together. I had no sentimental feelings. After dealing with the family of 3 with my sword, I entered the apartment. There were no more zombies, and because the family of 3 had turned well in their bedrooms, there were actually quite a few supplies in the house. While I was inspecting the apartment, Lu Guixiong had already found some bags to collect the edible supplies. Great one, there's quite a lot of rice and flour here. What should we do? Lu Guixiong hadn't eaten rice in a long time. Even if she had some, she couldn't cook it without water and fire, but she couldn't bear to throw it away. Even without knowing the situation outside, she knew that rice and Flour were definitely scarce commodities. I said casually. Collect the supplies and put them in the living room. I'll handle them in a bit. As I spoke, I began wandering around the apartment. I probably ended up in the child's room. The room was a bit messy, covered in dust, and had a slight stench of rot. At a glance, however, I saw a snack basket on the study desk. I stepped forward immediately. There were quite a lot of snacks inside. From the original host's memory, I recognized the names of these snacks. This is a spicy strip, and this delicious one is jelly. This is called crispy rice. This is nuts, and this is called crispy noodles. There's quite a variety. I hooked the basket onto my wrist, opened a pack of spicy strips, and started eating. As soon as it touched my tongue, the spicy and savory flavor flooded my mouth. This spice really hits the spot. My current body can't handle spice very well, but I still couldn't bear to spit it out. The people of this era are too incredible. How could they make such delicious food? In the other rooms, I didn't find anything else to eat. Instead, I saw a locked safe in the master bedroom. After I forced the safe open, I found it was full of jewelry and gold. I immediately felt deflated. I thought it was hiding something good. I stood up, not intending to take this gold and jewelry for myself. Lu Guixiong, who had just walked in, was about to ask something when she saw a safe full of gold bars and jewelry. Oh my god. So many gold bars. Lu Guixiong's family wasn't poor, but she felt they were probably not as rich as this household. And as a Huaxia citizen, no one can refuse gold. What's the matter? I went to rummage through the closet again. It was all just clothes inside. Just then, my eyes suddenly lit up. As I scanned some clothes that still had tags on them. I've never worn a dress before. The clothes Shen Yanqing and the others gave me before were all jeans and casual pants, practical clothes like that. Lu Guixiong's gaze struggled to move away from the gold. Great one. I've gathered all the edible supplies. The seafood in the fridge, the green vegetables, and such are all spoiled. They can no longer be eaten. I pointed at the row of clothes with tags still on them. Pick out all these clothes with the tags. Okay. Lu Guixiong moved quickly to pack the clothes. There weren't many clothes with tags, and they were soon sorted out. Everything was piled up in the living room. To my surprise, this family actually had quite a lot of supplies. There were 2 5-kilogram bags of vacuum-packed rice, plus some loose rice they usually ate. Lu Guixiong put it into another clean plastic bag. Besides the rice, there was an open bag of flour, about 5 or 6 pounds. There was also half a box of rice noodles, a box of milk, a bag of packaged noodles, 2 large bags of instant noodles, a small bundle of sweet potato starch, a bag of vermicelli, a jug of oil, and a variety of bottled seasonings. I took a look, pulled out a dress, and asked, "You didn't take the gold?" I clearly saw earlier that when Lu Guixiong saw that gold, her eyes were glowing. Lu Guixiong was currently stunned. With a wave of my hand, the things in the living room vanished into thin air. Hearing my question, she stammered an answer. "Gold is heavy. I can't carry it. I really can't carry it right now. But for the Great One, it's just a wave of the hand." I wasn't going to bother with it, but then I thought about later how I still wanted to taste Lu Guixiong's cooking, so I was uncharacteristically considerate. "If you want to take that gold, I'll carry it for you." Lu Guixiong thought about it and decided to go get it. It wasn't that she wanted it for herself, but she felt the Great One didn't seem to have much concept of money or wealth. People were indifferent to it now, as money was no longer useful, but gold and jewelry might become a hard currency. The Great One might be able to use it later. Engrossed in her thoughts, Lu Guixiong didn't notice that her mindset had shifted from just clinging to a powerful figure to wholeheartedly thinking of and serving me. It was likely my mysterious and unpredictable methods that were unconsciously conquering her heart. After bringing out the gold, Lu Guixiong noticed that I had changed from my all-black sportswear into the white dress. There were no extra decorations, just some small, exquisite designs, making it look simple and elegant. Below it was a pair of beautiful silver high heels. The heels were quite high, about 7 or 8 centimeters. "Great One." I glanced over. "Is that all?" Seeing her nod blankly, I waved my hand and the gold vanished instantly. "Let's go." I took the lead and walked ahead. Lu Guixiong observed carefully from behind, seeing that even though I was wearing such high heels, I still walked very steadily. She felt relieved in her heart. The Great One truly is the Great One. Even in such high shoes, she walks faster than me, and more steadily than me. Following that, Lu Guixiong's mouth didn't close for a long time, as we descended level by level. No matter how many zombies there were, wherever that sword passed, no zombie survived. Even the one on the 8th floor, that level 2 zombie Wang Qing had been terrified of, only lasted 3 seconds under my sword. As for the other zombies, naturally, they were dealt with in a single second. Lu Guixiong went from walking hunched over in fear to holding her head high and chest out. When she saw those foul-smelling, hideously distorted zombies again, she felt she wasn't so afraid anymore. Indeed, as long as one has strength, hey, as long as you cling to someone powerful enough, and that strength is great enough, even the most terrifying thing is vulnerable. Clearing down to the 1st floor, we didn't see a single living person. However, according to Lu Guixiong, there actually were people before, but because there was a very powerful zombie on the 8th floor, no one dared to go down. When they ran out of supplies, they went upward, and in the end, these people basically became Wan Cheng's pawns. Arriving downstairs, I used my spiritual power to manifest a lifeboat. There weren't many zombies in the residential area, so I dealt with them easily. We hadn't even entered the hospital yet, but the harvest from this building alone had restored my power to nearly 10%. I'm glad I didn't continue following and training that group of people. They only went where there were few zombies, mostly taking roads through suburbs and towns where people, and thus zombies, were scarce. They would never come to a busy area like this. If I followed their way of traveling, when would I ever have restored this 10% of my power? I steered the lifeboat and floated toward the hospital opposite us. I'm going to the hospital across the street in a moment. Are you coming with me, or waiting outside? The zombies in this immediate vicinity have basically been cleared by me. Lu Guixiong wouldn't be in any danger outside. And if she did encounter a zombie, she could run into the hospital. After all, I would be fighting my way from the outside in. Great one, I'll follow you. Lu Guixiong replied quickly, for fear that I was going to abandon her. The hospital was indeed densely packed with zombies. As soon as Lu Guixiong and I stepped inside, those zombies seemed as if a switch had been flipped. They all lunged toward us together. Fortunately, due to the water's resistance, their movements appeared very clumsy. While I was driving my sword to kill zombies, I saw out of the corner of my eye Lu Guixiong's envious and admiring gaze. You try too. As the god said, I have a light steel knife that can slay zombies. The next second, a steel knife appeared out of thin air and was handed to Lu Guixiong. Great one, this is the apocalypse. Better to rely on yourself than others. I won't protect you forever. I spoke quite cruelly. The zombies in the real hospital were very ugly because the outbreak here was more severe. It was a world of biting and tearing, plus, because they had been soaking in the water for the past few days, their entire bodies were bloated and swollen, like corroded corpses that had been soaked in water. Lu Guixiong took the knife, stifling the urge to vomit as she stood up. In front of her was a stray zombie. Its upper and lower lips were gone, revealing teeth that were a mix of bloody red and green. Half of its nose was missing. The grayish-white eyelid socket on the left was plastered with a large chunk of what looked like crab paste, and there were many white maggots wriggling on it. Due to the viral mutation, these maggots were generally larger than those before the apocalypse. They were biting into the internal organs, and the surrounding rotting flesh often looked like minced meat. The smell of rot was like rotten eggs that had been bad for a long time, pungent and nauseating. Despite being in the apocalypse for so long, Lu Guixiong still couldn't bear the smell. She had been forced to suppress it. As the zombie approached, that smell hit her right in the face. She was almost unable to move. Just then, a faint voice came from beside her. Aim for the head. Split it open deliberately, like cutting a watermelon. If you don't have enough strength, just cut the head off. Split it down the middle. Lu Guixiong still couldn't help but let out a cry. Gripping the steel knife tightly with both hands, she sliced the zombie's face right down the middle. She used all her strength in this strike, splitting the zombie's head in two. It revealed the crystal inside. Lu Guixiong's eyes lit up. Forgetting for a moment the illusion that she was killing a person, she directly reached out and took the crystal into her hand. Thud, the zombie's body collapsed into the water. Lu Guixiong looked at the beautiful crystal in her hand. Her eyes red with excitement. She wiped the crystal on herself and piously handed it to me. Great one, for you. No need. I cast a disdainful glance at the crystal. It wasn't wiped clean, and because it had been wiped on dirty clothes, it was even dirtier. Great one, this crystal is worth more than gold. Keep it for yourself. Lu Guixiong's eyes grew red again. So the Great One is such a good person. How could she have thought the Great One wasn't good before? I'm clearly just a person of few words. Someone who hates evil. With a sharp tongue but a soft heart, seeing the grateful gaze of the person before me, my face was full of questions. I don't quite understand the thoughts of these mortals, with me leading the way. Occasionally letting one or two terrifying-looking zombies through for Lu Guixiong to kill. She went from the initial involuntary physiological revulsion to being able to face these hideous zombies directly and cleanly wielding the steel knife, like cutting a watermelon, to split the zombies' heads in two. She was originally a chef, so she had plenty of strength. Add to that the fact that this steel knife of hers was very sharp, and 1 + 1 was greater than 2. She gradually got the hang of it. There were 4 level 2 zombies in the hospital. Compared to the flow of people, this number was still a bit low, but it was better than nothing. I raised my hand and dealt with them. There were many buildings in the hospital, and no matter how fast I was, I couldn't clear them all in a day. After clearing 3 buildings, the sky darkened slightly. Zombies at night are slightly stronger than those during the day. Although it made no difference to me. Killing for a whole day was indeed a bit boring. Great one, it's about to get dark. Let's go back across the street and find a room to stay in. The residential area opposite was an upscale community newly built in recent years. The community wasn't large overall, with only 10 buildings in total. Except for the building where Lu Guixiong lived. I hadn't cleared the other buildings yet. I must say, the number of zombies in this busy downtown area is truly massive. My power has now recovered 10%, so I'm not in such a hurry to clear zombies anymore. Taking Lu Guixiong back to the community opposite on the lifeboat. I found a suite on the 4th floor to stay in. Lu Guixiong thought about the ingredients gathered today. And asked, "Great one. What are we having for dinner?" "Boil some eggs for yourself. I'll have snacks." The snack basket found earlier was full again after I had eaten a fair amount. "Follow me to the kitchen." Lu Guixiong followed me to the kitchen. With a wave of my hand, a fire started on the gas stove. 2 eggs and a bottle of water appeared in an empty pot. "Boiling eggs for yourself is no problem, right?" I took the basket to the dining table. Looking at the full basket of snacks, I picked through it. I'll have this spicy one first. It smells quite good." Lu Guixiong, through the glass door of the kitchen, looked at the slender girl in the white dress. Feeling a warmth in her heart, eggs were a common food on normal days. But she hadn't eaten one in a long time. After the simple boiled eggs were done, the fire went out automatically. Lu Guixiong brought the eggs to the table. "Great one. Are we going to the hospital to kill zombies again tomorrow?" With my help today, she had killed 5 zombies and obtained 5 crystals. It wasn't much, but it was the giant step she had taken into the apocalypse. "We're going back. My power has recovered a lot, so I'm too lazy to go out of my way to kill zombies anymore. You said before that you're good at cooking seafood. I want to eat seafood. Where can I get some?" "We'd have to go to Y City for that. If I remember correctly, Y City seems to be the capital of Nan Province. It's not in the same direction as Donggong City. I'd need to double back. Y City has a developed tourism industry, and it's by the sea, with several ports. That's where the most seafood is. I just don't know if that seafood has mutated." Lu Guixiong was thinking. I also remembered hearing when Wan Qing cleared the building that a resident on the 20th floor kept a teddy dog. That teddy was tiny before the apocalypse. But after the apocalypse, it was actually the size of a normal golden retriever. However, other than its size increasing, it hadn't mutated any special abilities. The same should apply to seafood, right? Crawfish becoming giant lobsters. As for that dog, having no ability to protect itself in the apocalypse, it could only become food for others. The couple on the 20th floor had been torn about eating their dog's son, but in the end, Wang Qing slaughtered it. About the mutations, I heard Pei Yan mention them before. I took a bite of crispy noodles. While chewing, I said, "The Nan province base seems to be in Y City. I heard those sea creatures have come onto the shore to hunt humans." Lu Guixiong's face turned pale. That's right, she was only thinking about the original food getting bigger. But what about those naturally carnivorous creatures in the sea? Like sharks and whales, they were terrifying enough when seen normally. After the apocalypse, Lu Guixiong couldn't imagine how enormous they would become. After all, a teddy could mutate to the size of a golden retriever. But so what? No one can stop me from eating what I want to eat. The bold words were spoken lightly, as if they had no weight, but Lu Guixiong sensed dominance and confidence from them. I glanced at her. I finished the crispy noodles and, in a very good mood, picked out the next bag of snacks from the basket. I looked quite childish. But only Lu Guixiong knew how powerful my strength was. That's right. Even if sharks and whales, these sea creatures, all come ashore to hunt humans, so what? In front of her great one. It was just a matter of 1 second or 3 seconds. 1 second for a level 1 zombie. 3 seconds for a level 2 zombie. Lu Guixiong finished her 2 eggs, savoring them. She got clean sheets and duvet covers from me, and gave the entire room a good cleaning. She especially made the bed tidy and clean. "Great one, everything is ready. Sleep early. Tomorrow we go to Y City." The night was much quieter than usual. It was the most comfortable and peaceful sleep Lu Guixiong had had since the apocalypse began. Nothing happened overnight. Early the next day, after a simple breakfast of eggs and milk, the two went downstairs, ready to leave. Just as they left the community, they saw a large expanse of red in the distance. There were about 5 lifeboats, crowded with people. They were all wearing uniform combat fatigues and holding guns in their hands. One person stood at the very front, holding binoculars. "Captain, there are 2 women ahead. One is holding a steel knife. As far as the eye can see, no zombies have been spotted." "Still no zombies? This is H City's Grade A tertiary hospital. This is too strange." The man next to the binoculars was tall with long legs, and his features were resolute. Standing upright, he looked over in my direction. "They are the military from the Nan province base, codenamed Langis Special Forces. There were 10 of them in total, following orders from the base. They were a vanguard team sent to clear a path to the tertiary hospital and scout the situation. They thought this mission would be a narrow escape. But they didn't expect that the closer they got to the hospital, the fewer zombies they found. It really was too strange. Meanwhile, Lu Guixiong and I also saw the people in the distance immediately. Lu Guixiang tensed up for a moment, instantly gripping the steel knife in her hand. Great One. There are so many people. They have special abilities. Lu Guixiang couldn't see the people far away clearly, but I could see them perfectly. They aren't bad people. In the original host's memory, these people are called soldiers. As long as they see their uniforms, all Huaxia people feel a sense of peace in their hearts. I stopped. No longer driving the lifeboat forward. Waiting for the group to get closer, Lu Guixiang saw the clothes they were wearing. Excitedly, she said, "It's reinforcements. Rescue workers have come to save us." The other side sped over, and the two sides finally met. The captain at the front was the first to speak. "Hello, comrades. We are the Lengia Special Forces. I am Captain Hui Gong." "Hello, Captain Uncle. We are residents of this community." Lu Guixiang pointed to the community nearby. "We happen to be going to the Nam province base today. What's the situation over at the base? Is there a lot of seafood?" The first part of her words was normal, but what was with the "is there a lot of seafood" at the end? Also, the person in front of him was nearly 40, right? Calling him, a 28-year-old young man, uncle, fine. He was used to that. More importantly, the person in front of him. He thought his eyes were playing tricks on him from afar, but now he realized it was true. She was wearing a white dress, and even had on a pair of sky-high heels. The fine rain fell on me. Seemingly landing but also seemingly not. Because my clothes weren't wet at all. Hui Gong composed himself. Looking at me next to Lu Guixiang. There are quite a few high-level ability users in the base. Safety can be guaranteed to a certain extent. If you want to go to the Nam province base, you can wait for us to complete our mission, and we'll take you back. Or wait for our colleagues to arrive later. And you can go back with them. Lu Guixiang looked at me without answering. Whether to go with the soldiers wasn't for her to decide. I glanced at them. "You're here to clear a path, right? What are you looking for at the hospital? Maybe I can help." Hui Gong's intuition was not inferior to mine. He actually guessed their mission. He quickly asked, "Comrade, do you know what's going on with this hospital? Why are there so few zombies? As far as the eye can see, we can't even see a single zombie." They had seen many zombie corpses on their way here just now. They estimated they might have floated from here. "I don't know." I looked innocent. "I'm just a resident of this community. There were so many zombies before that I didn't dare come out. I only came out because I noticed. The zombies seemed to be gone these last few days." Hui Gong keenly noticed that when I said I didn't know. Lu Guixiang's expression beside me wasn't concealed well for a split second. They must know something but aren't saying it. "Do you really know nothing? The zombies suddenly disappeared. And you didn't hear anything from inside your home?" "No." Hui Gong was now certain that this young girl was definitely hiding something. He thought for a moment about the dangers on the way to the base. "Do you want to wait for us to finish our mission and head back with us?" I also thought for a bit. "I want to leave in a day or two. Can you finish your mission within that time? If someone else is protecting us and I don't have to fight, isn't it better to just lie back and enjoy? I wasn't born to toil. On the contrary, I love pleasure very much." After a moment, Hui Gong said, "I'm not sure. But I will notify my colleagues later. They should arrive sometime later today. You can choose to go back with them then." Since there would be protection, I took a small rattan chair out from my space and sat down. Seeing this, Lu Guixiang hurriedly took an umbrella from her backpack to shield me. Beside Hui Gong, the man with binoculars hanging from his neck looked young, probably in his early 20s. With fair skin and red lips, he didn't look like a rough soldier at all. He looked more like a gullible college student. He couldn't help but ask, "Are you mother and daughter?" Feifei was truly curious about this middle-aged woman's behavior. He felt like he was seeing a servant from the Qing Dynasty Imperial Palace. Before I could speak, Lu Shoping hurriedly waved her hand in denial. "Don't say such nonsense. How could I have a daughter like the Great One?" After thinking for a long time, Lu Shoping couldn't find a more appropriate term. "Good heavens, I just thought of it." And she really admitted to being a servant. "And Great One, what kind of title is that? One master, one servant. Could they really have time-traveled from the Qing Dynasty?" Seeing they weren't willing to reveal anything, Hui Gong didn't push further. He hadn't forgotten his mission. "Follow behind us. We are entering the hospital now." Hui Gong looked back and informed them. His voice was steady. "Everyone, listen up. Target, hospital. Stay on alert. Prepare to move." Everyone returned to their positions. The lifeboats floated into the hospital. The inside was incredibly empty, with only various cars floating on the water. Electric scooters, zombie corpses, and many unknown items. My lifeboat followed at the very back. I sat on the chair, while Lu Guixiang stood beside me, holding the umbrella. If not for the surrounding environment, one would think some young lady was out for a swim. The Lengia Special Forces were all on high alert. After entering the outermost outpatient building, they found it full of zombie corpses. This should have been one of the most dangerous places. After the apocalypse, yet not a single living zombie could be seen. Who could possibly have such strength to clear out all the zombies in the outpatient building? Even for the Nam province base, it wouldn't be easy even with full effort. It wasn't that they couldn't do it, but the cost-benefit ratio was too low. The reward wasn't worth the sacrifice. For dangerous places like this, people usually wait until they are much stronger before thinking about attacking. Their coming here was a move of desperation. The base had scientific research talents, but they needed a lot of sophisticated equipment. Ordinary hospitals and clinics wouldn't have such things. Only grade A tertiary hospitals would. As for why they didn't go to hospitals in the outer city, well, after analysis, they found that the outer city's hospitals were even more dangerous. H city was relatively better than the outer city. There were smaller cities, but they were too far from Weiqing. No one knew what would happen during transport. In short, H city's hospital was chosen after overall consideration. Everyone split into pairs for a full search. They formed their respective teams and found out to search the outpatient building. Hui Gong was paired with Fei Fei. He turned to me and said, "You follow me. Or you're on your own? Don't worry, we'll shout if there's danger." I wasn't polite at all. Hui Gong gave me a deep look, made a hand gesture, and went to search with Fei Fei. The outpatient building had 9 floors. Searching floor by floor, they found that there really wasn't a single zombie. And they couldn't even find any supplies. There was no doubt about it. Someone had conquered this hospital before them. In that case, was it possible the things they wanted were already gone? After all, besides medicine and medical equipment, there wasn't much else worth coming for. The cost-effectiveness was truly low. Could it be that besides the Nam province base, there were other unknown large forces in Nam province? The medicine in the Chinese and Western pharmacies was all gone. Hui Gong thought about the goal of this trip and led us directly to Building 1. Building 1 was right next to the outpatient building. The equipment inside was what they wanted. Building 1 was empty, just like the outpatient building. The equipment had been cleared out too. This time, they had come for nothing. To the inpatient integrated building. The inpatient building was also empty, just as Hui Gong thought this whole hospital was empty. They reached the 4th building, the administration building, and saw long-awaited zombies. "Captain, what do we do now?" Fei Fei asked while killing zombies. The zombies in the administrative building were relatively fewer, but fewer was still quite a lot. Besides getting gold and star sky boxes, there was no other benefit for them here. On the contrary, they were likely to encounter unknown dangers. Hui Gong and the others fought while retreating, quickly boarding their lifeboats and leaving the hospital. There were no zombies outside the hospital either, so it was temporarily safe. Hui Gong frowned slightly. There must be another large power in Nam province. And we didn't know anything about them. It seems the other side's strength must be very great. Things like medical equipment are useless to ordinary people. Lu Guixiong felt a bit guilty hearing this. But she also felt that Hui Gong was wrong. There was no large force. Only the Great One. Those medicines and equipment had long been taken into her space by the Great One. If the Langya team had come a day earlier, they would have run straight into the Great One. I was also being quite mischievous, watching the Langya team make all sorts of conspiratorial guesses there, and I still didn't say a word. Change of plans. We go back to the base first. Hui Gong made a decision, and the others naturally had no objection. After a whole morning of work, it was almost 12 o'clock. Since there was no danger here, everyone simply found a place sheltered from the rain, planning to leave after lunch. The rain had lessened quite a bit now. It should stop by tomorrow at the latest. That was good news for humans. There was a space ability user in Hui Gong's squad. The man was a bit dark-skinned, showing a mouthful of white teeth when he smiled. He had ordinary features and looked honest and simple. He took the prepared lunch from his space. The so-called lunch was lettuce wraps with rice, lettuce wrapping rice balls, with some fish or shrimp inside. It was actually quite lavish. They were originally meant to have 2 rice balls each, but since there were more of them now, Lu Guixiong and I naturally had to be given some. Hui Gong was hungry, but his face remained resolute. Give mine to them. The rice balls were about the size of a woman's fist. It would definitely be enough for a girl with a smaller appetite. No need, Vice Captain. We have food. The next second, Hui Gong saw me wave my hand, and a bunch of things appeared on the lifeboat. His eyes lit up. A space-type ability user. This was definitely a very rare ability. Although it can only store things for now, it's already very impressive. Especially for an army like theirs, that often needs to go on missions. Having a space-type ability user is really particularly convenient. Lu Shoping set a small pot on a metal stand, poured bottled water into it, and covered it. While Hui Gong was looking bewildered, a ball of fire appeared out of thin air to burn under the pot. A fire-type ability user. His eyes shone even brighter as he looked at me. A dual ability user. Could there be a dual ability user in the base? Only top-tier experts are not in the base. Even though leveling up also requires pairing with my gold boxes, having one more type of ability gives you one more trump card, whether fighting humans or zombies. It adds another possibility, a greater possibility of survival. Seeing this, the others didn't even eat their rice balls. All were looking at me with surprise. Fei Fei immediately invited, "Miss, do you want to join our base's army?" Fei Fei and his friends. Watch your language. Okay. Fei Fei followed the advice. "Comrade, do you want to join our base's unit?" Excellent benefits. We even distribute boyfriends. Changing the title but still sneaking in personal bias, right? But Hui Gong didn't say anything more. Feifei was young and lively, so it was normal. Joining isn't necessary. However, I heard your base is very close to the port. Right? I'm very interested in the seafood there. Just as I was speaking, an exotic aroma wafted through the air, attracting everyone's gaze. Lu Guixiong put instant noodles into the pot of already boiling water, then added the seasoning, some eggs, and ham sausages. The sound of the gurgling water made their stomachs gurgle as well. I didn't have time to worry about the seafood that hadn't been caught yet, and immediately focused my eyes on the pot. After boiling for a while, Lu Guixiong used chopsticks to serve the noodles into a bowl. All those eggs and sausages were put into the bowl given to me. Add an egg and sausage for yourself too. I had originally prepared eggs and sausages for 2 people. But thinking about it now, I couldn't bear to give what was in my bowl to anyone else. I waved my hand and took out an egg and a ham sausage from my space. For Lu Guixiong, taking the big bowl for myself, I took a deep breath. Smells so good. These modern seasoning packets are real. Using my chopsticks, I took a mouthful of instant noodles and ate them. Instantly, the fresh, savory, and spicy flavor exploded in my mouth. Guixiong truly is a chef. The noodles were cooked just right, not soft at all, and they were very chewy. I devoured the noodles. The frustration I felt about coming to this world was long gone. Why didn't I come earlier? Really, while Feifei was smelling the aroma. He was eating the somewhat tasteless rice ball in his hand. Seafood rice ball sounds good, but they were truly tired of eating them. After all, no matter how delicious something is, if you eat it every day, no one can stand it. They hadn't eaten things like instant noodles for a long time, not to mention that even if its taste might be average, it really does smell amazing. After inhaling all the noodles, I gave a satisfied burp, glimpsing the group of people catching the aroma. Being in a good mood, I was rarely generous. Do you want some? We still have more. Hearing my invitation, many people secretly swallowed their saliva, but they still firmly refused. No. I don't have food. And we cannot take anything from the people. After finishing lunch, Hui Gong and his team saw Lu Guixiong luxuriously using mineral water to wash the pot, and their mental state was a bit broken. Isn't it raining? Isn't there ready-made rainwater? Why not use it? They also guessed the reason why she didn't use it. They must have a lot of supplies, and people with many supplies are usually equated with strength because an unexpected situation had occurred. Hui Gong and his team were in a great hurry when returning. Their route back to the base was the same route they took to come. They had scouted this route when they came. So there basically wouldn't be much danger. Occasionally encountering zombies, they would solve it with one shot, or another if one wasn't enough. From H city to the outer city, Hui Gong and his group suffered greatly. It wasn't that there was danger, but rather that every day at mealtime while they ate dry rice balls, we on the other side were eating all kinds of lavish meals. Their tears almost flowed out of their mouths. Fortunately, they wiped them away quickly and no one saw. Once they reached their own territory in the outer city, Hui Gong and the others were even more familiar with it. Having been to all sorts of dangerous places, they quickly returned to the Nan province base. The Nan province base was built near the port, or rather, a large area was divided along the sea. This was undoubtedly dangerous, because it was extremely close to the ocean, but there was naturally a reason for building it here. Despite knowing the danger, if the base weren't built here, considering the invasion of land by marine organisms, people living on land would be even more in danger. Only by building here could they, at the first moment, isolate the danger from the sea here, preventing them from coming ashore and adding more danger to already struggling humans. The base was built very solidly, with walls made of all kinds of steel and metal. The main gate for humans faced away from the sea. The gate facing the sea, rather than being called a gate, was more of a battlefield. The base was built on high ground. This design was initially to resist the ocean, and now that they encountered a flood disaster, it actually served its purpose perfectly. Once inside the base, lifeboats were no longer needed. I walked in high heels, wearing that beautiful white dress. It would have been normal before the apocalypse, but now, with my clean appearance, and a servant following me with an umbrella, looking like a young lady on a tour, it attracted many stares. There were many people at the base entrance, and I caught almost everyone's eye immediately. Among them, not far away, a boy in his early 20s, who had just finished trading things, looked up and saw me in those sky-high heels. Is she sick or something? The boy muttered to himself, but his eyes held some unconcealed envy. After all, anyone who dares to dress like this either has enough strength themselves or has enough of a background. Others wouldn't dare even if they wanted to. Of course, that still didn't stop him from complaining. The boy quickly returned to his residence. Entering the small kitchen, a boy was cooking seafood porridge. With a miserable expression. Brother! The boy walked into the kitchen. Guess what I saw when I went to trade just now? Hearing the boy's words, the older brother immediately looked at his hand. Later. I actually traded for instant noodles. You eat this porridge. I'll eat the noodles. No way, brother. Let's each have half. The boy immediately refused. The two of them pulled back and forth for a while, and finally, Brother Pei, as the boss, got 7 out of 10 of the noodle block. The remaining 3 out of 10 went to Little Turtle for his noodles. Only then did Brother Pei ask, Zhou Yu, what did you just say you saw? Brother, I saw a woman at the base entrance. You'll never guess what she was like. What could she be like? 2 eyes and a mouth. What, does she have one more eye than others? And turned into Erlangshen? Brother Pei's eyes were all on the noodles in the pot. Answering carelessly. Can you guess properly? Without waiting for Brother Pei to guess again, Zhou Yu couldn't help but say it first. That woman was wearing a beautiful white dress. Sky-high heels on her feet. And there was an older woman holding an umbrella for her. The whole person was clean. Like a young lady out on a tour. Is she sick or something? A dress is fine. But wearing high heels, isn't that asking for death? Brother Pei had seen many women in the base. Whether delicate or powerful. At most they just kept themselves a bit cleaner. Even if they really wore a dress, it would be the kind that covers everything tightly. After the apocalypse, women without strength easily become playthings between men. Many women in the base intentionally made themselves look old or ugly. Exactly. That's what I thought too. I saw her following a unit. She must be the daughter of some leader in the base, right? Brother Pei sighed with envy. I used to think I was lucky to be born into my family. Now I realize I was too hasty. Those who were born lucky now are the truly lucky ones. As he spoke, Brother Pei couldn't help but think of his half-sister. With her personality and her tiny frame, she probably won't survive. Even if she can survive, I'm afraid she'll be targeted by those bad people. In the hall for processing identities, I registered for an entry-exit pass. This thing was simple. They gave an electronic watch. Swipe it when coming in. Water, electricity, and network were available in the base, but using them required paying a certain amount. After registering my identity, Huigong and Feifei took Lu Guixiang and me to register nearby. This registration was for special abilities. To allocate a corresponding house based on your strength. After Huigong explained everything, he told the staff member. Dual ability user, space, and fire. Do you have any other abilities? I shook my head, although Huigong felt I should be lying. There was no evidence. Then let's register these two. The staff member was very excited, looking at me with sparkling eyes. Miss Su, please demonstrate your skills. I casually took the pen holder in front of the staff member into my space. Then released it. Then a ball of fire appeared in my palm. Flames. She really is a dual ability user. The staff member was extremely excited. Now our base can have one more expert. Other people who were handling business here saw this scene and were very surprised. Some in the crowd silently let go of their dark intentions. Some were thinking about whether they could cling to the big shot's leg. Thoughts were varied. I ignored all these looks. Envy, jealousy, and hate. There were even many who hated me so much they wanted to kill me with their eyes. This was just the beginning. As for Lu Shouping, she had no abilities, just cooking skills, cleaning skills, and no other craft. But since she followed me, she could naturally live in the same place as me. After asking for my requirements, the staff member issued me the keys. Huigong glanced at the address and said, let's go. We will take you there. We'll have to go back and report in a bit. Back at the base entrance, Huigong had told all his teammates except Feifei to go back and report first. I got into Huigong's military SUV. Along the way, Feifei gave me a very detailed introduction to the base's situation. For example, there were several item exchange points in the base which served as simple marketplaces. Although several were established, the one at the base entrance was the most crowded. Exchanging items was very simple, mostly bartering. The circulating currency was gold cores. Gold was also useful, but not worth much. A lot of gold could only be exchanged for a tiny bit of supplies, but compared to other jewelry and cash, gold held its value better. The base administration also had official exchange spots in the marketplace. However, the officials only accepted gold cores. The exchange rates for how many supplies a gold core could get were clearly listed at the exchange points. As for the seafood I had been craving, it was the cheapest thing here. After all, every few days, they would have a major battle with marine creatures. The supply of seafood was simply inexhaustible. People were sick of eating it. Unfortunately, there weren't many flight ability users in the base to trade with other regions. The cost of flight labor and time was too high. This caused the prices of non-seafood supplies to skyrocket. Besides the market, there was the mission hall. The mission hall, as the name suggests, was where everyone accepted or posted tasks based on one's ability level. One could take on corresponding missions to earn gold cores or supplies. Anyone could also post missions based on their financial standing. This was the busiest part of the base. Every day, people hurried in and out of the mission hall. As we talked, the car arrived in front of a villa. The streets here were unusually clean and tidy. Many mutated flowers were planted along the road. Each competing in beauty, they looked beautiful. But they felt a bit creepy. Huigong saw me looking and explained, don't worry. The plants grown inside the base are all safe. Per my request, This house was very close to the battlefield. It was a 4-story duplex villa. The first and second floors were one unit, complete with a small yard. The third and fourth floors were another unit, with the fourth floor having a small roof terrace. I chose the first and second floors for easier access. Normally, even with my dual abilities, I wouldn't be able to live in such a nice house. It wasn't a lack of strength, but because I hadn't made any contributions to the base yet. However, the base was desperately short on experts. Since they wanted to entice me to stay, they didn't quibble over small matters like housing. They just wanted their investment to pay off. Even if it didn't, they wouldn't lose much. In short, you might gain. But the capitalists never lose. After dropping me off, Hui Gong and Feifei exchanged contact info with me, and then hurriedly drove away. Lu Guisheng opened the door with the key. The yard was overgrown with weeds, and the inside was covered in dust. It looked like it hadn't been cleaned in a long time. Just as I was about to speak, I saw Lu Shopping roll up, her sleeves with great energy. "Madam, you should rest first or go for a walk. I'll take care of this. I'll make sure it's spotless." "Alright, I'll go for a stroll." I didn't refuse. Although I could make the house clean in a single sentence. As a capitalist now, I couldn't be too nice to the workers. Otherwise, they would start wanting more. They would get arrogant. I had to learn to manage them, to let them know that giving them work already made me a very kind boss. After leaving the necessary items for Lu Guisheng, I checked my electronic watch. It was only 10:10 a.m. It was still early. I could go to the market to trade for some seafood. Tomorrow, I'd go to the battlefield to catch some fresh ones, killing and eating them on the spot. The taste would definitely be amazing. From where I lived to the base entrance, it was actually quite far. Walking would take about an hour. Fortunately, there were vehicle services set up throughout the base. After fiddling with the watch, I clicked on the vehicle service. After waiting at the door for a while, an electric tricycle appeared before me. Upon seeing me, the young man's eyes widened. He even started to stutter. "Young madam, did you call for a ride?" I got on, feeling the breeze on the open-air tricycle. I felt quite good. "Take me to the largest market." "Yes, of course." The young man started the tricycle. We sped along like the wind. He didn't dare have any improper thoughts about me. Anyone who could live here and dress like this must be very powerful. I felt the sea breeze and asked him, "The seafood in the base should be very fresh, right?" "It's very fresh. Most of it consists of creatures killed during daily battles. If no marine creatures attack that day, no one in the base goes out to catch them. First, it's dangerous. Second, everyone is sick of eating it. Ability users are okay. They have strong physiques. But for ordinary people, eating too much seafood isn't good for their health." Seeing that I was quite approachable, the young man suddenly became talkative. Without me needing to say much, he spilled all kinds of information about the base like a chatterbox. I must say, it was quite an eye-opener. The young man drove fast. There weren't many cars on the road, so we reached the market quickly. Many people here had all sorts of expressions on their faces since the mission hall was right next door. Many people who had just finished their tasks came directly to the market to trade. When I appeared, I unsurprisingly attracted many gazes. Having finished his instant noodles, Brother Pei looked at the leftover pot of seafood porridge and decided things couldn't go on like this. So, he and Zhou Yu went to the mission hall to pick up a task. He was a speed ability user. Zhou Yu was a water ability user. To be honest, speed ability wasn't very useful in the apocalypse. At most, it meant running faster than others when fleeing. As for water ability, it was quite important. But Nanjing Base didn't lack water. After all, it was right by the sea, so the two of them were barely getting by. They were in a pathetic spot. They couldn't take high reward missions, and they looked down on low reward ones. They were truly aiming too high and achieving too little. After being beaten down by a diet of seafood, they finally saw reality and planned to rely on hard work to get rich. Just as they reached the mission hall, Zhou Yu caught a glimpse of white. He looked closer. "Hey, brother. Look, it's that woman. Isn't that the same crazy woman we saw earlier?" Brother Pei was calculating how many missions he needed to reach level 2. He was pulled by Zhou Yu to look not far away. Someone really was that reckless. Look at the eyes of the men around her. They want to strip her bare. How did she? Before he could finish his sentence about her death wish, the woman turned her head and looked towards him. Their eyes met. Whoa, am I seeing things? Seriously, she actually dares to come to the market alone in a dress. Even if she might be strong. Remember, there's always someone better. Can she say she's the strongest in the base? No, it's best to stay low-key and develop. Otherwise what? Zhou Yu covered his face and looked at Brother Pei in disbelief. Why did you hit me? Watch your mouth. My sister is the strongest. What business is it of yours if she wears a dress? Zhou Yu was dumbfounded. Sister? Was Brother Pei really going to suck up to that woman's leg? Had he decided to be a pretty boy? To save 20 years of struggle? He looked at Brother Pei with a complicated expression. The brother who was supposed to be unyielding to poverty and unbowed by power was now acting like a showy peacock, flamboyantly rushing towards that woman. Even though this woman looks much better than the powerful experts in the base, you can't compare them like that. Look how skinny she is. Touching her would be like touching a bag of bones, wouldn't it? Zhou Yu told himself. This criticism definitely wasn't because he was jealous. Some people don't eat soft rice because they don't want to. But for others, do you think they don't want to? They just can't get it. Zhou Yu was the one who couldn't get it. Thinking this, he quickly ran over. In case the big shot didn't like showy guys. Maybe she'd like someone somewhat handsome like him? I didn't expect it either. With a casual glance, I saw the younger brother, the original host, was so desperate to find. In the original host's heart, even her mother wasn't as important as him. But no matter how important he was, I wasn't the original host. So, as Brother Pei lunged toward me, I shifted my body slightly and he hugged the air. Brother Pei didn't mind. Instead, he said excitedly, "Sister. It's really you. Why are you wearing a dress? It looks beautiful." The original host rarely wore dresses because she was too thin. The few times she went out, people would point at her. Skinny as a rail. Zhou Yu, who had just run over, thought, "That's not what you said just now." Who would have thought? "Brother, you actually have the heart of a sycophant." I looked up at him. "How did you end up here?" No wonder Pei Yan couldn't find him. It turned out Brother Pei had run to the outer city. It's all his fault. Brother Pei pointed at Zhou Yu. The night before the apocalypse, he got dumped. He said he wanted to see the ocean, so I drove with him to the outer city. As soon as we arrived, zombies suddenly appeared on the streets biting people. The virus swept through the whole city instantly. We were staying in a hotel. We awakened our abilities and managed to save ourselves. Later, the whole city fell. We were brought to Nanjing base by the rescue team. Base. I thought you would all come here. Well, you thought wrong. Pei Yan went to Jishur base. Pei Yan? They all thought Nanjing base wasn't as good as Jishur. Jishur was larger and had better conditions. They all ran to Jishur. Sister, how do you know? Brother Pei was a bit surprised. Sister, did you meet Big Brother? Yes. He found me at my place with his companions. I later went to the area near the Polytech University to look for you, but I couldn't find you. Because of the weather. We decided to head to the base early. What happened next? Brother Pei asked hurriedly. Later we reached a fork in the road. I wanted to take a more dangerous path. Pei Yan didn't agree. So we parted ways. Brother Pei didn't seem to hear the word dangerous. He instantly exploded. What? He just abandoned you like that? I'm seriously done with him, and he calls himself a brother. I guess you really can't rely on people without blood relation. Bah. It's still better between us two. As he spoke, he completely forgot that he and Pei Yan were also half-brothers. Next time I see him, I'm going to beat him up. Brother Pei's tone was fierce. I couldn't win before the apocalypse, but that's not necessarily true now. I've awakened an ability. And it's the speed system. I silently reminded him, Pei Yan awakened a fire ability. He was a level 2 ability user when I left him. At least he runs fast enough not to get hit. Sister, are you okay? How did you get here? I flew here. Zhou Yu was shocked on the side. Sister, you are actually a flight ability user? This ability is very much in demand. No wonder you dare to wear high heels. It's because you can fly. Can I touch your wings, sister? I'm so curious. Touch what? Brother, why did you hit me? I'll tell you why. You scumbag. Don't get so close to my sister. And you want to touch her wings? Why don't you go die? Zhou Yu made a zipping gesture over his mouth. Only then did Brother Pei let him go. Sister, what are you doing here? Are you trying to trade for supplies? I still have some gold cores here. Take them. When he said some, he meant exactly 3 gold cores. He was truly short on them. He needed them for leveling up. And for exchanging supplies. Those zombies weren't hard to kill. The surrounding area had been cleared out. Even the stragglers were gone. If he wanted more cores, he had to go to unexplored houses. Or similar places. And since he hadn't joined a squad, being this poor was quite normal. I looked at the gold cores in his hand. And felt a bit speechless. Brother Pei saw me being silent and thought I was touched. He patted his thin chest. Sister, don't be moved. I'm about to take on a mission. Earning cores is a matter of minutes. Supporting you will definitely be no problem. I'm not moved. It's fine if you aren't. Brother Pei was a bit embarrassed. He quickly tried to save face. By the way, where are you staying now? I shared a 2-bedroom apartment with Zhou Yu. Why don't you come live at my place? I'll give you my room. I'll room with Zhou Yu. I thought for a moment and replied. I was assigned a duplex villa. A duplex villa? Zhou Yu couldn't help but interject. I knew flight ability users were in demand, but I didn't think it was this much. Maybe in other places, flight wouldn't be as valued. But in Nanjing base, it was absolutely prized. The reason was the location. Many cities were completely submerged in water. Resources were already scarce, and this made them even more rare. Seafood was plentiful. But who could eat seafood every single day? So, at this time, many flight ability users were needed to take seafood to other places to trade for supplies. Since flight was a special ability, not many people awakened it. Those who happened to be in Nanchang base were even fewer. Thus, the ability users who awakened flight were truly making money while flying, as long as they didn't encounter malicious human attacks. The flight user profession didn't have much danger. You could fly and make money at the same time. It was so enviable. Hearing this, Brother Pei felt a bit lost but also happy for his sister. He thought that in the apocalypse, he could finally become someone his sister could rely on. He didn't expect her to be even more powerful than him. Before the apocalypse, his sister had taken care of him. From childhood to adulthood, the family was very strict with her allowance. Only his sister would share her own allowance and snacks with him. After his sister became a streamer as an adult and started making money, she bought him everything he wanted. He had always thought that once he made money, he would repay her. He didn't expect the apocalypse to come. Let's go. I didn't notice Brother Pei's mood. Come with me to the market. Although it was called a market, it was actually just many stalls, along with one official base storefront. Supplies exchangeable for gold cores were listed at the entrance. Seafood sellers were the most common, and also the most ignored. I saw a large iron basin, filled with crayfish even larger than Boston lobsters. There was a sign above it that read, mutated crayfish. Exquisite and fresh meat. 1 gold core for 1 basin. He followed my gaze and saw the sign, 1 gold core for 1 basin. That's highway robbery. Throughout the journey, I had been hearing that seafood was worthless here, but I didn't expect it to be this worthless. 1 gold core for a large iron basin of crayfish, and people still called it robbery. Seeing the crayfish were quite fresh, I pulled out a gold core and tossed it to the man. I'll take this basin of crayfish. Brother Pei grabbed it. It's not worth. Before he could finish, the boss grabbed the gold core and handed the basin of crayfish to Brother Pei with a beaming smile. Thank you, boss. This basin is yours too. After saying that, he ran off in a flash at a speed that suggested he was afraid I'd regret it. Sister, 1 gold core for a basin of crayfish is too expensive. Brother Pei thought that since she just arrived, she didn't know the base's situation. He tossed the basin to Zhou and quickly followed to explain. You don't know. A big battle breaks out here every few days. When the battle is over, there's no telling how much seafood you can pick up on the shore. It costs nothing. Gold cores might not be many, but you'd be better off exchanging them for other supplies. But I want to eat them now. And if a problem can be solved with money, why should I do the work myself? I expressed my doubt. My tone was so sincere. It made the two paupers, Brother Pei and Zhou, feel ashamed. Paupers like them needed to consider cost performance. Did a flight ability user need to? She was someone who lived in a duplex villa. Both were human, but how could the gap be so large? After buying seafood, I saw many fresh vegetables. And bought quite a lot of those too. Fresh vegetables were a luxury. After the apocalypse, no one wanted to farm. As long as an ordinary person had a bit of ambition, they would rather go out and train, kill zombies, and earn gold cores to gain the capital to survive. Of course, those were just nice excuses. The reality was that no matter how ordinary people planted, they couldn't do it easily. Wood ability users used their powers to grow plants, quickly driving down the costs for ordinary people. Later, those wood ability users monopolized the vegetable and fruit market. The prices were mostly set by them. After all, they were the suppliers. The people selling vegetables were mostly middlemen. After getting stock from the wood ability users, they brought them here to sell, to earn a profit from the price difference. Paupers like Brother Pei and Zhou simply had no money to buy vegetables. If they wanted vegetables, they had to spend gold cores to buy seeds and plant them themselves. Selling what they grew was a hassle, but it was just enough for them to eat. Right now, both were carrying the things I bought. As I browsed, I spent gold cores as if they were free, seemingly not noticing the greedy eyes in the shadows. Sister, let's leave quickly. Although it's not allowed, it can't be stopped. Just like the laws before the apocalypse, there were still many who broke them knowingly. Naturally, I had sensed those malicious gazes long ago. But I didn't care at all. What's there to fear? If they dare to come, I'll make sure they never return. Zhou immediately flattered me. So domineering my foot. I think while flight users don't fear zombies, human schemes can still reach them. I looked at the items in their hands. There was basically no empty space left to carry anything. Go call a car. Let's head back. Alright, I said, showing some mercy. Brother Pei felt like he'd been granted a pardon and immediately called over a four-wheeled vehicle. The three of us got in with our bags. I gave the driver the address. Not long after the car started, another vehicle quickly followed us. Brother Pei and Zhou were still marveling at where I lived. That's a great area, though it's a bit close to the battlefield. If the base ever fails to hold the line, the area where you live will be the first to suffer. Do you two have anything left in your rooms? If so, go grab it while we're on the way. You'll be living at my place from now on. I sat in the passenger seat and glanced at the two of them through the rearview mirror. I mainly wanted to bring Brother Pei along. In this world, he was the only person the original owner couldn't let go of. Cultivators care about cause and effect. Since I had accidentally taken over her body and wanted to enjoy myself here, it was only natural to give him some compensation. Besides taking care of Brother Pei, he seemed like a decent guy himself. They only had a few clothes. As for supplies, they had none. The two were at the end of their rope. Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken that mission. Actually, the South Province base was better than other bases in one regard. It didn't lack food. Specifically, it didn't lack seafood. This led to many lazy people in the base. As long as they didn't starve, they would just eat seafood all day. Adventuring was out of the question. Just surviving was good enough for them. I didn't have any men's clothing at my place, so I told the driver to stop at Brother Pei and Zhou Yu's place. Their living situation wasn't too bad. They lived in an old residential compound. The compound was fairly well preserved, no more than 10 years old. The compound's gates were open, allowing people to enter freely, but vehicles couldn't get in. The three of us got out of the car. Zhou Yu said, "I'll go in and grab everything. Wait for me here. Hurry back." Brother Pei acknowledged him. Seeing Zhou Yu run off, he walked over to me. Just as he was about to speak, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a mini van pull up behind our car. Immediately, that tiny van seemed to squeeze out people like cotton from a bag. 1, 2, 3, 6 people squeezed out of that tiny van. There were 4 men and 2 women. 2 of them looked a bit older, with beards, around 50 years old. The other 4 were in their 20s or 30s. They looked at me and Brother Pei. Their greed almost tangible. One of them was less than 1.7 meters tall but very robust, with a distinct scar and triangular eyes. He looked quite menacing. Among the 6, he seemed the strongest, and the others followed his lead. He took a step forward, his sinister eyes scanning me. After sizing me up, he said, "Hey, girl. I suggest you hand over your gold cores, and then come have some fun with me. Otherwise, don't blame me for leaving you with nothing." I glanced at them. A phrase popped into my mind. Brother Pei looked at his sister in shock. When did his sister become so brave? He knew that after the apocalypse, many people's personalities changed drastically. But for his sister to go from a social phobic to a social terrorist, the change was far too large. He whispered a reminder that there were 6 of them. "We're not at the battlefield right now. Sister, I'll go first too. Hold them off. You run. Don't worry, I have a speed ability. I can run fast." I looked at Brother Pei, my eyes full of deep affection for him. I finally understood why the original owner couldn't let go of this brother. He was a bit dim-witted and unobservant. Seeing how calm I was, he should have known I was confident, not just showing off. After all, I'm not an idiot. I knew the difference in numbers. Yet I still provoked that dark, burly idiot. That man was also unobservant. Overhearing Brother Pei's whisper, he laughed out loud. "Run? Do you think with so many of us, we'd let you two escape?" Right after he finished, the 2 girls standing behind him scoffed. "That's enough. Stop talking. Finish them off quickly. It'll be troublesome if we run into patrols." While the 2 girls were speaking, I spoke as well. "God says, I have a sword to cut all." As the words fell, the 6 of them saw a long silver sword, shining with a dazzling light, appear in my hand as if from thin air. Brother Pei saw this and bit his lip. "Sister, are you a spatial ability user? Then why did you make me carry everything you just bought? It was really heavy." "You didn't ask." The 2 of us talking as if no one else was there made the 6 opposite us feel ignored. The leader immediately snarled, "You're doing this the hard way. Attack." Everyone unleashed their abilities, except for the dark-skinned leader. But I soon realized what his ability was. He was a mental ability user. I smiled coldly. How dare he show off his meager skills? His power wasn't bad, but he chose a mental attack. To me, his mental attack was like a single drop of water falling into the ocean. I didn't even need to think about it. The attack vanished without a trace. However, a counterattack was still necessary. As the other abilities followed the mental attack, I gave a slight twist of my will. With a tiny movement, the man standing in front of me widened his eyes. A trickle of blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. Immediately after, his look of shock and panic turned into a dull stare. Boss, it's a mental attack." The 2 women closest to him immediately noticed something was wrong. They exchanged a glance. They were terrified. Among the 6 of them, the strongest was this level 3 mental user. Not only was he the highest level, but as a mental type, he could attack people invisibly. They had worked together several times before, even against those with stronger abilities. They relied on his mental attacks. Their sneak attacks had always been successful, never failing once. "Want to run? You'll have to ask my sword first." I swung the sword. The blade flashed, slicing through the air gently, and leaving a silver trail. It also left behind several bright red bloodstains. One person watched the scene in shock. The thin, long sword was like a breeze brushing past their necks. A light touch, followed by blood vessels bursting. Blood sprayed into the air. Yet not a single drop stained the blade. In the blink of an eye, they stared with wide eyes. As if they couldn't believe, they didn't even have a chance to resist. In their final moments of life, they seemed to hear a faint voice. I said I had a sword to cut all. How could it not cut you? Zhou Yu returned with his bags, and happened to witness the scene. Sister, you're so cool. The sword appeared from thin air, and vanished back into it. I said to Zhou Yu as if nothing had happened. Got your stuff? Then let's head back. Brother Pei and Zhou Yu got into the car in a daze. They didn't snap out of it until the car had driven dozens of meters. Sister, you're actually a triple attribute user, mental, spatial, and flight. Even the strongest expert in the base only has dual attributes. Aren't you afraid of me? I raised an eyebrow. I thought Brother Pei looked a bit frightened earlier. I had just killed 6 people. Although killing wasn't illegal after the apocalypse, and more people were doing it. Some people still had moral bottom lines. And couldn't accept it. Brother Pei shook his head. Why would I be afraid of my own sister? If it weren't for your power, we would have been the ones to die today. Those people clearly weren't good. They were too practiced. Who knows how many people they've harmed? Their deaths are a contribution to the apocalypse. This slightly surprised me. Killing those people in front of him was actually a test. As for the result, it was acceptable. I'm not exactly a good person, but I'm extremely protective. Once I consider someone one of my own, right or wrong doesn't matter. I will always take their side against outsiders. As for discipline, if they need a lesson, I'll give it myself. I won't let outsiders tell me what to do. Brother Pei then immediately asked, are you really a triple attribute user? Wait, are you quadruple? I should be an all attribute user. All attribute? Brother Pei and Zhou Yu's eyes widened. Meaning you have every single power? Yeah. The two looked like 2 startled huskies staring in shock for a long time. It wasn't until the car arrived at the villa that the driver, who had been trembling the whole way, dared to speak. We're here. He was just an ordinary person. After hearing so many secrets, he wondered if he'd be silenced.